people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. We'll fight for the people every day. Risk him life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. Say from him slip up all eyes on him. I defend the people, them set spice on him. Even politicians spread lies on him. But we know the bugger them not wise like him. Back up, them not ties on him. Them know say that the people rely on him. You know say them bring out them cries through him. That's why all the people them respect him. Just like Selassie and Marcus Garvey. Rock you all the order of the Trinity. A real strong soldier in a army. No simpleton can disarm you. We'll fight for the people every day. Risk him life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. We'll fight for the people every day. Risk him life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. How long them a gonna know say that them fire can't cool? How long them a gonna take our people for fool? Nah build no houses, them nah build no school. Think them have the handle but of the most high rule. Them better stop criticizing. Cause what them a do now phase him. You know the man no lazy. All them a talk, them a the one right crazy. We'll fight for the people every day. Risk him life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. We'll fight for the people every day. Risk him life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. Say from him step up all eyes on him. I defend the people, them set spice on him. Even politicians spread lies on him. But we know the bugger them not wise like him. Back up, them not no ties on him. Them know say that the people rely on him. You know say them bring out them cries through him. That's why all the people them respect him. Just like Selassie and Marcus Garvey. The man hold the order of the Trinity. A real strong soldier in a army. No simpleton can disarm you. Them fight for the people every day. Risk him life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. Them fight for the people every day. Risk him life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. Them fight for the people every day. Risk him life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. Most High Jah, guide us now, yeah. Our people need to see the light. Turn it up right. He will fight for the people every day. Risk him life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. We'll fight for the people every day. Risk him life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. Say from him slip up all eyes on him. I defend the people, them set spice on him. Even politicians spread lies on him. But we know the bugger them not wise like him. Back up, them not no ties on him. Them know say that the people rely on him. You know say them bring out them cries through him. That's why all the people them respect him. Just like Selassie and Marcus Garvey. Rock you all the order of the Trinity. A real strong soldier in a army. No simpleton can disarm you. We'll fight for the people every day. Risk him life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. We'll fight for the people every day. Risk him life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. How long them a gonna know say that them fire can't cool? How long them a gonna take our people for fool? Nah build no houses, them nah build no school. Think them have the handle but of the most high rule. Them better stop criticizing. Cause what them a do now phase him. You know the man no lazy. All them a talk, them are the one way crazy. We'll fight for the people every day. Risk them life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. We'll fight for the people every day. Risk them life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. Say from him step up all eyes on him. I defend the people, them set spice on him. Even politicians spread lies on him. But we know the bugger them not wise like him. Back up, them not no ties on him. Them know say that the people rely on him. You know said them bring out them cries through him. That's why all the people them respect him. Just like Selassie and Marcus Garvey, the man hold the harder of the Trinity. A real strong soldier in a army. No simpleton can disarm you. Them fight for the people every day. Risk them life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. Them fight for the people every day. Risk them life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. Them fight for the people every day. Risk them life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Greetings, people. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Up, 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 up. Okay, all right. Give me a signal. Give me a signal. OT, you can't hear me? Oh, Patel say yeah. All right, cool. All right. Folks, welcome to Conversation with Rattigan. This is your program, the program where you call in and voice your opinion. And of course, the chat is always open. So if you're not able to get through, or if you want to have two for the price of one, then you can actually put some stuff in the chat and then call me. And let's have a reasoning. Okay? All right. Listen, we advertise this as a special show, but the thing is, and we do have some special topics, but we don't know how far we're going to get with it because we have a hard stop to it. And it is what it is. So we'll try and get through as much as we possibly. We have a lot of videos to play because one of the things I'd like to show you is how arrogant and ignorant the Speaker of the House is. And then we want to talk about the bus a little bit, and we want to show civics in action. So, having said that, let me just welcome all of you. What is going with you? What is going with you? You can't hear me. Oh, hold on, I'm gonna grab another man. Mic check. Okay, well, I'm gonna move this mic. Bring that down. All right, can you hear me now? Mega, big up yourself. I wish I could have said mega million, but I just only can say megawatt. All right. All right, you can hear me loud and clear. All right, good. You know, my good friend Jeffrey Tavares sent me something here from the Governor General. Jeffrey, all I can tell you is that you saw the message from producer Joan, and I stand firm with that message. So you go ahead and take care of my place, all right? And we'll deal with that. So you don't have to worry about me going anywhere with the Governor General. I beat up you one, and people have to beat me up. So there you go. All right. What we're going to know. Make us start with start with this. The was it Standing Finance Committee meeting and the PAAC. I wish, and I know that a lot of you didn't watch it or watch them, but I wish that you could have, because there's so much. They're just ripe with information. And for those of you who couldn't watch, or just didn't feel interested, we've culled through the vast amount of material. And what we plan to do tonight is to go through some of it with you and point out some things. Obama, right? You mean worst lady? Okay. St. Martin. Big up yourself, St. Martin. Yes. Chelsea and Miller. I wish I could go through and heal up everybody, but we just don't have the time. So here's what we're going to know. We're going to go through. We started last week, Saturday, but we ran out of time, and I really didn't feel I did justice to the topic, and also did right. I didn't feel as if I did right by you. So what we're going to do is we're going to play some of it over. Just bear with us, because there are developments in terms of the explanation. So just bear with me. And plus also some of these things, we have to do it once, twice, thrice, to reinforce it, because a lot of us, we hear it one time and we forget it. And if somebody should ask you the day after, hey, did you see it? You vaguely remember it. But when you hear it once, and then you hear it twice, it's almost as if it's, let me call it a rote memory. It's like it becomes a part of you. So without further ado, and we have a guest tonight too, so let me see which one now. The Standing Finance Committee, PAC. Let's go with the PAC. And it's in no particular order. I was trying to put them in order. Producer Joan, big up yourself. Producer OT, big up yourself. Kevin Stew, big up yourself. It's my fault, because I had a bunch of things going on. So we got some things going, but it all work out. OW Brown, yeah. Hey, OW Brown, you think we're finished? But thank you. But what happened tonight, OW Brown? I know that you mentioned it. We'll start with this. We'll start with the bus thing, all right? And then, of course, we'll get to the Cuban thing, and then we get to we'll show some civics in between. Here we go.
Would like you to tell us how this rural bus system fits in within the overall transportation policy. And it's hard to isolate one from the other. And at the risk of Mr. Clark saying I'm using my constituency as an example, but in deep rural areas like my constituency, the population density is very low. And it is challenging to maintain one transportation system, to have enough passengers to support one transportation system, much less to have two transportation systems. Because in these areas, students might represent between a third or over 50% of potential passengers to the general system. So could you locate in terms of how the rural student transportation system will integrate into the overall transportation system? And the second element of this question is many schools, many rural schools, Monroe, Manchester High, many of these schools have extensive dedicated bus systems already that bring students from, in the case of Monroe, from all different parts of St. Elizabeth, even as far as Mandeville. And how do you see this rural bus program integrating with the private bus operators that serve these schools now?
Chair, I would like to add to your question as it relates to the integration. I have.
Now, remember, those of you who watched on Saturday, this is not the way it's supposed to work. The chair asked a question of the guests, and all of a sudden, a member, Mrs. Holness, she interfered with it. She interjected herself in it. That's a no-no. Standing rules and just courtesy. Here we go.
A concern. My own constituency is very different from yours. There is not one bus that any school has, and most of my kids are on bike backs to and from school. Taxi operator, I have seen for myself in Dublin, where children private bus was not even proper. That is supposed to be a social good, a benefit to citizens of the country, where we're always talking about how the loss. We need to establish what is a reasonable loss.
No, Madam Speaker. We're talking about corruption, not loss. Or we're also talking about, 3 trillion unaccounted funds. That's what we're talking about. Unaccounted funds and corruption, not loss. And now you come up with this. I don't know where you get this phrase from. Reasonable loss. No, that sounds to me like it's a euphemistic way about corruption. That's what it sounds like. And by the way, you really don't have no manners, because you jump in and take over the meeting, and it wasn't your turn. All right.
Because a loss is what it is going to operate at, and particularly as it relates to our children. I, as a mother, find it very critical that we safeguard the well-being.
Only you are mother. Nobody else than a mother. Nobody else than a father. Only you alone can speak to this subject. Come on, speaker.
Of our children.
Actually, you're not speaker. You're a member. You're a member in this forum. You're a member, not the speaker.
At school, and we should not be looking at thinking for a moment that privatized arrangements should supersede what the government is doing for the children.
Here you know.
I noticed you jumped the line of persons who might have questions, but
that's not good enough for the Mr. Speaker. I'm critical of you too, because you should have shut her down, because what you've done is you have created precedents now so that she can always jump in whatever she feels like. You're the speaker. Act like the speaker. Or you're the chairman of the meeting. So what you needed to have done was to simply say to her, member, please refrain from interrupting. Let me just deal with something else, and then I'll get back to you. That's all I had to do. But you smile, and I don't know that smile, it was a nervous smile. And it's almost as if you didn't want to come out and say to her what you really felt. But you actually helped create the monster.
I'd like to.
You hear her still argue with you. She talk for a lot of minutes, and then even after him come out and make him statement, she still want to challenge him.
Yeah, I was trying to turn on the mic for Mr. Ellington, but because everybody had on their mic at the time. But I'm trying to understand.
No, she mustn't come and talk about no mic foolishness, because I can play you where she had problems with the mic in the house. She had problems with it. We'll get to that. Here's another video.
You press your request. Go ahead.
So you made a comment during the session that you were comfortable with my app.
Hold on a second, people. Hold on. hold on. Let me play this one because this video, yeah, it's so hot till it a burn up because she take on the chairman and want to scold him and school him at the same time. So before we get to that one, let's play this.
It was very difficult to listen and get an appreciation of where the question was going in terms of a comparison of the total cost of the used bus versus any information we have in respect of what would be the cost of a new bus for the school bus system. Are we in a position to say, after we have looked at all the costs, what is the average cost for the used bus? And do we have any idea what the average cost would be for a new bus with the specification we require? That's number one. And I was trying to split service and maintenance in my head for a reason. Service is always going to be required for both the new buses, that regular service schedule. I don't want to call it maintenance for a reason. So I would want to treat maintenance more as parts replacement instead of just the changing of oil and filters and stuff. So the old buses, the used buses that came in, I believe you have service and maintenance as a part of the contract for the entire duration. Was there a breakout between the two? And based on your response, Mr. Ellington, it seemed to me you didn't have much in terms of real maintenance work. It was just the regular service. Last but not least, what is the life expectancy of the used buses? And what would be the estimated life expectancy of the new buses?
Thank you for that question. I will answer the cost as it relates to the life expectancy. I'll let the managing director answer the cost on that. So for the used buses, it is averaging roughly about 12.5 to 12.7 per bus. And for the new buses, you're seeing an average of 21.3 million for the new buses.
I gifted my husband.
Over to you, Mr. Ellington, about the life expectancy of the buses.
It's ready? Okay. When you speak about life expectancy of a bus, you're talking about things like the engine, transmission, and drivetrain, and the number of mileage that a bus may run before it requires midlife refurbishing or before its full life cycle expires. In the case of the rural school buses, the first tranche that are now in the fleet, these are American-made buses. They come with the, what's the name of the engine? Cummins engine, Allison transmission, the best in the world. They have a life cycle of up to 500,000 miles before they are due for major overhaul or refurbishing. The average age of each of these buses is 12 years. The average mileage that we have recorded for the buses is about 160,000, which means that they are not even at pre-life stage as yet if they are operated under normal conditions and they are regularly serviced and maintained. So the life cycle of these buses, if we care for them the way we should and the way the industry recommends that they are cared for, could be another 12, 15 years under our operating conditions, given the average daily mileage that each bus is expected. It's a little bit different for buses that are deployed, for example, within the KMTR, where these are from a different region of the world. The components may not be as sturdy, and engine and transmission components might be different, and hence the reason why they are much cheaper. And we have seen where buses are doing as many as 100,000 kilometers in a year, when the industry standard should be around 30,000, 40,000 kilometers. So it is quite possible that newer buses could expire before some of the older buses, depending on how they are worked, how they are serviced, how they are maintained, and a number of other factors.
Thank you very much for that response, because I had gotten a sense that the used buses we got from the US were extremely sturdy school buses. When you listed the features or benefits of the bus that we procured, I didn't hear one particular area that I found useful. Don't know if it is so, but I do know someone who drove one of the school buses in the US, and he said one of the features, the safety features, was that it had metal panels on either side, heavy-duty metal panels. So if you run into a coaster bus or a highest bus, a child would be far more likely to be injured than one of these buses. Does that feature actually exist in the bus, one? And two, would that feature be in the new buses that we would seek to procure? One of the limitations I would suspect would be that middle section at the back of the bus, which is glass. But I've noticed that the students are seated. I don't know, do we carry students standing as well? Or do we, make the effort to ensure?
Hear that question? Do we carry students standing? Guess what? They didn't answer the question. They did not answer that question. You'll see, they don't answer the question. Do we carry children standing? That's a safety issue. They claim that they're following the US standard because it's a gold standard of safety. And we know for a fact that they're carrying students standing, because that's how the student fell out of the bus the other day. And we've had reports, because I've asked people, tell me if everyone is seated or you have some children standing. And on several occasions, they said, no, children standing. So whatever safety you would have gotten by saying you have metal panels, and by the way, there are people on this, in the chat, and there are people watching the program who they have a tremendous amount of expertise with these buses, and they've told me time and time again that the buses are not as safe as they're making them out to be, particularly in Jamaica. But the question that she asked, right, is a very good question, and it was never answered.
That all the students are seated where they would be safest. And what would be the features for the new buses in that regard as well, in terms of safety? And instead of going back around, I'll ask a question coming from member Morris behind me. He was concerned about the brake capacity of the buses, given our terrain and climate, where the rural spaces significantly deteriorate and we have hilly spaces to traverse, whether or not you had a specialized braking system that currently exists, and if not, would be considered for the new buses.
I'm getting hand signals from Mr. Morris.
Thank you.
Did Mrs. Holness ask your question, or would you? So you don't have a separate. You also want to ask a question. Go.
All right, remove this one now. And I feel it necessary to show you some things, because he's been talking about the life expectancy of the buses. All right. No, don't listen to him. Pure nonsense. Okay, here we go. No. Here it is. We looked at all the states. And we looked at the mileage threshold, and we looked at the average lifespan. No, this is where it gets quite interesting, because Mr. Ellington doesn't know what he's talking about. He's reading from a script. He's reading from something that they gave him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. We know what we're talking about. And let's look at, I hope you can see this. Here it is, school bus mileage thresholds by state. Now, a lot of the buses came from New York and Florida. Buses came from elsewhere, from Nevada and elsewhere. But let's just go to what the state says about their buses, the longevity of the school buses. Let's go to New York. There's New York right there at the top. New York says, look, the average life expectancy of a school bus. Two things. One is mileage, and the other is the age of the bus. And in the buses from New York, they said after 180,000 miles, they try and get rid of them. 180,000 miles, they try and get rid of them. Or 14 years old. 14 years old. Now, keep in mind that we have some buses that were manufactured in 2010. 2010. Let's pretend we're in 2025, not 2026, because the buses came in 2025. Let's say we're in 2025. That means those 2010 buses, they're 15 years old. They're 15 years old. Big up yourself, sis. She's not hearing me. All right.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Sorry. I'm listening to the show and listening to you. Much respect, man. Hail the man. Hail the man. And
Yes.
to everybody in the chat, a blessed Wednesday evening. And to the lovely producers, much love.
Well, I've got to show the people the amount of lies that they've been fed and that they shouldn't believe, because we come with receipts, and so we'll come back and we'll cash them in.
Yeah.
The New York buses, they try and put them out of commission when they get to 14 years old. And Artnell said the same thing. It also depends on what comes first, mileage or age. And age. It's mileage or whichever comes first. No, 14 years old. So if they got buses from New York, guess what that means? Means that New York was getting rid of their buses. Those buses, those buses are 14 years old. They're 14 years old when after we purchased them, or just around the time, because by the time they got to Jamaica, they're 15 years old, past the useful stage of operation. That is what New York said. Now let's go to Florida. Again, people, just keep this in mind. You can screenshot it. 180,000 miles or 14 years. Those buses, the 2010 buses, they have no business being in Jamaica. None whatsoever. Now let's go to Florida. Let's see, we have all of the states. There's Florida right here at the top. Look at Florida, 150,000 miles or 10 years. So they bought in Florida are, you know what? I'm not so sure if I buy them in Florida, because buy them in Florida, maybe at this. Yes.
Yeah.
Here's why we have said that if they pay for those buses and they pay more than $1, they pay too much, because Look, if the buses came from Florida, after 10 years in Florida, they tried to get rid of those buses. They've passed, as far as Florida is concerned, these buses, the useful life for operation expired after 10 years. And remember, we have some buses there, they're 15 years old. 15. So don't make them tell you any nonsense. All right? Don't let them tell you any nonsense. I'm hoping that there's another video. I'm hoping we'll have it because I want to show you something that is just amazing. But in the meantime and between time, take a look at this. And I hope this is the video I have where the speaker tries to put, well, not speaker, she's a member of the committee, tries to put the chairman in his place. Watch this.
Because your committee flowed quite nice.
I'll go back.
Could you press your request? Go ahead.
So you made a comment during the session that you were comfortable with my absence because your committee flowed quite nicely. No, I would.
He never, that's not what he said, but that's what she took it to mean. But that's not what he said. He said something close, but that's not what he said.
I would like to reiterate that the Parliament purchased a mic system for a purpose, to ensure that persons could be recognized in the order in which they chose to turn their mics on. If we have individuals who are required to present, then it would mean that they would have to keep their mic on, or we would have to use the per mic, as you have seen us do. That is a system established by the Parliament, not me as Speaker or a member of committee or as chair. So for you to indicate that this is how you are doing it as chair, I do have an issue because I observed for my first 2 meetings, I remember asking a question and being rushed, and other members were allowed to go on and on and on and on with their questions. I don't find your fair, and while as Speaker in the sittings, there is a duty and a mechanism by which the Speaker operates. There is equally a different standard set as it relates to committees and what happens at committees. Now, for some members who come here and are disrespectful and rude because they have not spent the time to learn before they start to make their commentary, I would encourage them when the Parliament is having the trainings to come to the training so that they don't waste time. There are those of us that have spent the time sitting quietly. I remember my first term apart and listened in committees and learned instead of argue with others. All right? And so some fast learners continue to be stupid and use ChatGPT for their questions. No. Chair, that is a concern for me and for other members in respect of how you recognize persons and how you allow persons the latitude in speaking. As Speaker in the House, at the end of the day, it is usually the opposition who comments, who asks questions, and they are allowed to go on and on and on. Some may not appreciate that it is only under this dispensation that this Speaker allows persons beyond 4 to be asking questions. So many persons are allowed and they go until they've reached the last. Last term, it wasn't the case. Persons would be cut off after a while. Standing orders will actually address that. As it relates to the chairman's prerogative of asking so many questions at the start of the session, I think that's also a challenge. The chair is supposed to moderate the committee, not be the person who takes over at committees. And so I believe it would be more appropriate, Chair, to have members ask questions, and where you see gaps, where you think you now need to add, as you have quite nicely and rightfully done in many of the sessions, you do so. But at the beginning of the meeting for the chair to ask most of the questions, I'm not quite getting it. The committee should give the opportunity to members to be able to come forward with their questions, and the chair moderate and interject when necessary. Make sure to note them. Last but not
This lady is rude and obnoxious, you know. And you should just,
Disrespectful.
I should say, make sure you note them. Make sure you note what me I tell you. She not subjected to these rules, you know.
But the hypocrisy is real. Her hypocrisy is off the charts. Off the charts, because I don't know where she thinks she is and who she thinks she's talking to. But she has been behaving like the parliament is her personal space, and the members of parliament are her subjects. Because I cannot put it any other way. She has conducted herself in a way that is beneath the office of speaker. She's the least qualified to come in this space and be chastising Member Bunting, MP Bunting, for anything. Because the truth of the matter is, it is her husband, the Prime Minister, that is running a chat GPT government. Because all the Parliament has devolved into, how the government has devolved into, is to trace out people and carry on like all nigger. That's how they have been behaving. They're not behaving like, they have not elevated their conversation. Because if you challenge them on anything, then you hear that you're acting against the government, or you're dumb, dark, and stupid, or you're a bad mind. They're the ones who need to elevate the conversation. So she's chastising the wrong people. Go and chastise her ministers of government and the members of parliament on her side for the way that they have been conducting themselves. They have been very disrespectful and dismissive. As a matter of fact, she has been very dismissive, even to the opposition leader in the parliament, as if they have no purpose there, and as if it is only they are the only persons who are supposed to be conducting business in the parliament. It is called a parliament for a reason. It is not the home of Juliet and Holness. She's not talking to her children. I'm sure she can't talk to her children that way because they'll hiss their teeth and walk away. Okay? So she needs to have some respect for herself, first of all, so she can have respect for the members of parliament who are duly elected to be there. To be there. And if she wants to elevate the conversation, she must first start with herself. First start with it, because she's expecting them to come to the parliament and just ask a question without prefacing anything, without putting anything into context. So she should take her own advice and leave adults alone, because this is the parliament is for adults, not childish little girls' schoolyard behavior. She needs to take that someplace else.
Well, she needs to take her own advice. I agree. But it gets worse, people. It gets worse. Here we go.
This is the ambit of the PAAC. I just wanted to be very clear in understanding.
No, we're getting into an area now that is even more interesting. What you're going to witness is this, the ignorance of this lady. Remember when she stood up in a parliament and she started call point of order upon the members, and MP Warmington had to straighten her out and said, no, you cannot call point of order on the members. The members can call point of order on you.
On you.
Remember, you can't call it. And she was so embarrassed. But stop this up. You're going to understand. Remember this. She's a member of the PAAC. She's a member of this committee. She hasn't been to every meeting, and we don't expect her to be at every meeting, but she's been to a substantial amount of meetings, and she portrays herself as somebody who is knowledgeable about the workings of Parliament. And what you're going to see now is that she does not know the function of the PAAC. What did I just say? Because it sounds almost a thing me a joke. She's a Speaker of the House, and she's a member of Mr. Bunting's committee. She's not when she sits there, she's known as a member.
As member, yes, a member.
She's not Speaker, right? In this respect, she's subservient to Mr. Bunting. Mr. Bunting run things. That's his the PAAC. She's a member, and what you're going to hear now is
a diatribe about what the PAAC should be doing and how it was, the purpose of it, and she's going to be corrected. And then when they correct, when she's corrected, I am going to correct all of them. All of them. Mr. Bunting and Newell and this, I'm going to correct all of them. But my correction is different. I do my correction respectfully, and I do my correction with receipts. I show you and said, here is where they've made a mistake. Here we go.
And now that we're in budget cycle, when is our next meeting? And would we be going the route of doing an analysis based on actual appropriations, what is spent so far? Or are we going to be meeting to discuss estimates? And I ask this based on some of even the questions we had for today's session, because we would have just gone through an extensive budget process where this very same committee would have, along with Standing Finance, analyzed the budget and the budget numbers going forward. Now, normally, immediately or during budget, we would not have been having this session normally. And immediately after you have just accepted a budget, we wouldn't have been doing this session. We would have allowed the ministries, agencies, and Department of Government an opportunity to execute in terms of their spend and policy before we come back to interrogating the appropriations in respect of the spend. So I wanted to have an appreciation from you, Chair, what would be the arrangement going forward in the short term.
The two major topics that we determined to examine, this rural school bus program and the Spark program, I think it's called, the Spark program. These are multi-year programs. They're straddled last fiscal year and they continue in the coming fiscal year, which we technically haven't started yet. So I think it is quite appropriate for us to examine them. There's no requirement in the standing orders that when the budget debate is going on at the committee doesn't meet. And but I am happy if you want us to. I'm open. Let me say, if we want us to put back our next sitting, which is due for the 25th, if we want to skip that one and go into April to allow the budget debate, since we're all quite intensely occupied during this period, and it would also give the clerk who is new, the committee clerk who is new, a little time to get up to speed.
By the way, that clerk, I like her. I think she's going to be excellent because throughout all of this nonsense, her facial expression, didn't change. She just sat there. Even when the insults were hurled, she just sat there and she's like absorbing everything and just taking everything. Big up yourself, clerk.
I have no objection to that.
Planning to publish your book? You could reach 3 billion more.
Spark, as you have identified, I do still have a concern in that again, PAAC's mandate is reviewing appropriations. The monies that were budgeted should be spent by the different ministries, agencies, and departments, and how it was. Let me tell you why I'm identifying Spark as a particular one. The committee that handles infrastructure, get the name of it.
Infrastructure Committee.
The Infrastructure Committee, all right? Which is the committee that should take up exclusively road infrastructure, bridge infrastructure. That is what that committee is for.
I think you're interpreting the mandate too narrowly, and Mr. Newell has on more than one occasion in discussions with Mr. Clark as chairman of the Infrastructure Committee pointed out that this committee is not limited to examining appropriations. It goes, the PAAC is not limited. Mr. Newell, perhaps you...
You what she said? Who? This one? She don't know. She don't know, and now the most school are now.
Just just two things, Chair. If I generally
I'm going to just invite you, since I see you have the standing orders in front of you.
Right.
To
It is
just
a book
read the
that I've been
relevant
trying
section.
to learn and build some expertise on. So it says the 73A says the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee shall have the duty of, and it seems A and B are the only two that it has traditionally, or it is seen to do, examining budgetary expenditure of government agencies and other public bodies to ensure that expenditure is done in accordance with parliamentary approval, monitoring expenditure as it occurs, and keeping the Parliament informed of how the budget is being implemented. So those are A and B. But C says inquiring into the administration of the government to determine hindrances to efficiency and making recommendations to the government for the improvement of public administration. I think C gives a
very broad mandate.
To look into the administration of.
Even B would provide for examination.
By the way, people, I'm so proud of Mr. Newell and the rest of them. So they're reading the standing orders now. They're
her. And she's the speaker.
Yeah, and now them are whole people accountable. This is how you hurl insult and get emotional. You go to the standing orders. You go to the governing book. That's all you know.
Of these programs that straddle one year to another. We're not like the PAC. We don't have to wait for the appropriations to be spent and then they come and do a report. You don't have to explain that to me at all.
You said you don't have to explain that to me.
And she shouldn't put herself in the position for it to be explained to her like a 2-year-old.
Yeah, and they have a right to explain it to her because she didn't know.
Exactly.
She didn't know. She didn't know. 73A, and he's right. I'm looking at 73A now in the standing orders. He's right. But what she's saying is that Spark program should only be discussed with the oversight body that has public works, not the PAs. And they're telling her that no, we have the mandate to look at any program. We may not have primacy, but we still have a role to play to look at this lady, man.
Administration. When you are reviewing the administration of government, what is it that you take that review to mean?
Well, I believe it looks at just how different government programs are managed.
Another thing is that she shouldn't be asking the member a question. She forgot through the chair.
She's just dismissive and disrespectful.
Yes. Them should have him should have said to her, say, listen, because there are rules, there are provisions that says if somebody is disruptive, rude, you can ask them to leave. And you can have them God know why I'm in another room and I know me a chair the meeting. Him know why.
No, she's too much.
It's hindrances to efficiency, for example. And so to take today, because you mentioned the JUTC matter, I think it is totally appropriate for this committee to examine whether one way of implementing versus another.
JUTC, the one that I highlighted was Spark for a particular reason.
Right.
Because there's a committee that's supposed to do exactly that, specific for roads.
But Mrs. Holness, when we look, for example, at the Hurricane Melissa recovery, elements of that straddled many different sessional select committees of this parliament, and it's the nature of the PAAC that there will be some overlap at the margins. While we may not be the principal committee to examine infrastructure, the principal committee to examine education, but in the course of our work, we will overlap the work of those committees at the margins. So
I don't think we can say a program is off limits to the PAs.
Yeah, I am
based on how this is structured.
The general feeling of the members, as we have discussed what subjects to go on, they have tended to interpret the standing orders as it relates to the mandate of this committee more broadly than narrowly.
Just one more thing though, Chair, as it relates to the, because one of the things I've been trying to understand is just who sets the rules for committees. And as I've said the last meeting, and I'll say again, I think whoever occupies the chair, there should be a level of respect for the chair and that role, just the fact that the role is being occupied. I haven't found much about the microphone system in the standing orders, but what I've found, it speaks the language of catching the eye of the chair or of the speaker. We can decide if the microphone is what is to be used, but Rule 4.6 says the Speaker in the House and the Chairman in committees shall have power to regulate the conduct of business in all matters not provided for in these standing orders. So if the standing order doesn't speak to a microphone system and there's a system by which you seek recognition in another way, it is entirely appropriate and allowed based on the standing orders.
Well, yeah. The standing orders allow you to find another way so you can raise your hand. If you recall, when you entered Parliament for the first month, I found some persons behaving as if they were children. Literally, the system was
rude.
Some believe there is bias to have the clerk identify individuals. So I didn't do so as speaker, which would be the same in the chair. Yeah. Instead of me writing down who is first, second, third, and sometimes missing the individual, I'd pass that responsibility to the clerk and deputy clerk to say, you know, peruse the Parliament, see what's happening, and you identify the sequence. It didn't work because of members. So the standing orders does not specify that you must use a microphone system. But a microphone system which allows persons to be identified one after the other in the sequence in which they touch the mic was one that made it so that there is no human intervention in who is first, who is second, who is third. So I take no issue if the committee decides that you're going to hold up your hand, and if that is what the chair and the committee, not just the chair,
well, it speaks to, no man, it's in the same, so I deliberately, after I read this, I never took any part in the discussion about whether you wanted hands to be raised or mics to be turned on, as long as I would get an opportunity to participate. So in the same regard, I think the same respect should be given to chair of committee to make a decision in terms of,
so like
exactly. It's a simple decision. So it's in my mind, it shouldn't detain a lot of.
Chairman's prerogative is such that I'm going to ask the questions at the beginning.
Well, there are ways.
I mean, I don't think we're going to find agreement on this. I think you've read what the standing orders say. My view as chairman is that the mic system does not replace the chairman. The chairman presides over the committee. The mic system is here to serve the committee, not the committee to serve the mic system. So we've been going on fine up to now, and you know,
you deal with your bias.
I really
talk about bias.
Just allow me to finish. Just allow me to finish. I have tried to be impartial in my conduct of this committee, and the fact that from time to time members on both sides are maybe upset with me suggests to me that I am achieving impartiality, right? And you know, that is something I would commend to you, Mrs. Holness, when you're presiding in the chair in the House. But members,
exactly.
I mean, it's almost 1 o'clock. I think the staff would like to have lunch. I don't think we need to prolong this anymore. Further, you had a suggestion, Mr. Williams? Could you press your mic?
It was working fine, and I don't agree with that. I mean, I don't want to get into your business, but a member was dislodged from this committee because of the same issue.
No member was dislodged from this committee. So please don't misrepresent.
A member was not removed. Again, on a point of order, Chairman.
That's rubbish. That's rubbish.
That's different. If you had to choose between.
Could we, I don't think there's any point in prolonging. So could we settle on the date of the next meeting as April? Mr. You were heading down a path that, you know, you can't speak for another member who is not here. So let's move beyond.
All right. And let's see what happened right this.
Mhm.
So let's know this is a teachable moment. This is a
Mhm.
teachable moment that people need to read. And if anybody should be proficient in reading and understanding, it should be the parliamentarians.
Mhm.
Especially when it comes to the standing orders, because that's
Yeah.
their body. That's how they operate on a daily basis. So they have a problem now with identifying people. What the gentleman was referring to, let me see if I can bring it up here. Where did it go? Give me a second, people. I thought I had it here. Hold on. All right, hold on. Nope. One second. Let me just share the screen with this document. Okay. All right, here we go. Remember, the question is, how do you identify somebody in Parliament? If somebody wants to speak, first of all, you're supposed to stand in Parliament.
Mhm.
How many people do this? The standing order said when you're supposed to rise when you're going to ask a question, and then you wait to be recognized by the speaker. Students, you're listening to me? Because this is going to be on the final exam, I can tell you that, right? According to the standing rules, you're supposed to rise, and it says that if two or more members rise at the same time, the speaker or chairman shall call upon the member who first catches his eye or her eye.
Mhm.
So it's a visual recognition. No, this thing about recognizing people because of a speaker system, a microphone system, the Parliament, the standing rules did not contemplate that.
Mhm.
So it's absent. It's the rules are silent about that. And so now people are running around trying to figure out, well, what do we do?
Mhm.
Let me put it up this and show you right here. Here it is right here. Look at 2. Number 2.
Mhm.
It is right there. Right there at the top. It says if two or more members rise
Mhm.
at the same time, the speaker or chairman shall call upon the member who first catches his eye. That's how you determine who, the order, the sequence of speakers, who will speak next, and so on and so on. That's how you do it. But here's something they didn't go far enough. They didn't go far enough. Because the rules are silent on the one, it says whoever catches the eye. And now they're saying, well, we have a system and we want to implement that system. And so it's silent on that system. What do you do? Because now you have a discrepancy. You have the speaker who's saying, no, you use the microphone. And you have Mr. Bunting who's saying, well, there are problems with the microphone. And so whoever catches my eye, that's how I'm going to do it. And then she's telling him, no, you have to use a microphone system because the Parliament put that microphone system in for precisely that reason. What do you do? What do you do? I am telling you, students, you're going to be shocked when I show you what you do or what you're supposed to do. I am going to show you now. From the same standing orders. So I hope the parliamentarians who normally, I hope they're watching. Hope they're watching. All right, here we go. One second. Let me just make it smaller here. 1 second. Stay with me. Stay with me. Can't get this thing over. Number 88. All right. All right. Ready? Ready, Miss Students? All right. All right. Here we go. 85, 87. All right. Here we go. Matters not provided for by standing orders. That's exactly what they're talking about because the standing orders, they don't talk about identification via a microphone system. Now, here's a shocker. Here's a shocker. Look at what this says. it says, in any matter not herein provided for, meaning that anything that the standing orders that they don't contemplate, that they don't discuss here within the document. Listen to this. Resort shall be had to the usage and practice of the Commons House of Parliament of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, which shall be followed as far as the same may be applicable to this house and not inconsistent with these standing orders nor with the practice of this house. So they don't have a practice. It's not inconsistent. So guess what they're supposed to do? They're supposed to go to England and Ireland and say, what do you guys do to identify people with a microphone system? You believe that?
Right.
People, well, let me show now again. Yeah. See it right there, so it's a resort shall be added to the usage and practice of the Commons House of Parliament of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. See it right there, so. And when you look it up, I think it says that it's if you catch them eye. So the microphone system now is a waste of money.
It's not, yes, it's of no consequence in this, in the grand scheme of things, really.
I mean, look right at us again. House of Commons. England, what for going on, you know? And yet we say we're independent and we can run our own things. But they say, hey, if the standing orders doesn't deal with a particular issue, here's how you resolve it. You have to go to England and see what they do in England and Ireland. And then you bring that back to America. And so that's how you use it.
but you know, Rattigan, in listening to her tone and demeanor is disrespectful and dismissive of the other members of parliament who are her equal. None of them are subordinate to her. They are her equal, right? And she seems not to want to give respect to the newer members of parliament. But the truth of the matter is, and if we really want to be honest and call a spade, the young members of the opposition People's National Party are very bright and articulate young people. They have, individually and collectively, there are some very strong group of young people.
Right.
And if you should add in the other more seasoned members of parliament on the opposition side, then you have a really dynamic group of persons. So you cannot speak to them in ways that demean and diminish their very presence in the parliament, because it's disingenuous of her to do that. And I can sit and listen to Damien Crawford for days. I can sit and listen to Isaac Buchanan for days. They are not about the fluff. They're about substance. Because if you even listen to when Damien is taking the heads of departments and ministries to task, he's very meticulous. You know what I'm saying? And so it is not fair of her, in my opinion, to come into the PAAC meeting and conduct herself in such a way, because she's in essence saying, by what she said and her tone, that you don't know more than I do, and I'm going to school you. And she ended up being schooled by the very young persons and the new members that she tried to insult. So like the Bible says, he that humbleth himself shall be exalted, and he that exalteth himself shall be abased. She made herself a base in that situation, because if she comes with respect, she will get respect. And if she comes with an open mind to conduct the business of the people, then she would not be so defensive, where there's no need to. And the thing is, when you consider the lack of accountability, the lack of transparency, the lack of good governance in every ministry, not just one, every ministry, you cannot but expect that the PAAC would take a fine-tooth comb to any ministry that is sitting in front of them, or any subject matter that is they present. They have to, because there's a massive cost overrun. There are monies that are misappropriated, monies that are missing. Nobody knows how anything is happening. And so they have to do that. They have to do that. So, they have a right to interrogate the budget. They have a right to interrogate the spending, because monies are missing and things not happening. So if they only show up and ask questions that are in her favor and in the favor of the government, then they're not doing their jobs. Correct. They shouldn't be in that space, so she should just take a chill pill and go into the space with some understanding, first of all, that these are her peers. They're not beneath her. Nobody's in the parliament is beneath her. And they're not beneath her husband either. He may be the prime minister, but he was elected. Well, no, I shouldn't say that, because the people don't elect a prime minister. They voted, the party voted for him to be the leader, right? So they're there on equal terms. So she should operate in that space. And I've seen her conduct in the parliament, and it is really sad. She's talking about bias. Does she even know the meaning of bias? That's her name. This is how she conducts herself. She shuts people's mic off and tell them to sit down. Ask your question. No, you have to preface things and put things into context when asking a question. And the thing is, she's behaving as though the members of the opposition are not there to represent the constituents that sent them there. So they have to speak in a way that the persons who they are representing understand. And they're in the parliament understand that these are the concerns of my constituents. So just coming up and asking a question about whatever subject they're talking about, when a minister is present, in my opinion, does not cut it. Like this show says, context matters. And you have to put things into context and preface things before you ask a question, so that we all get a full understanding of what it is that member is trying to say. Because it's not only about her, it's about the wider society and what it is that the wider society wants to see happening in the parliament. So she needs to take a page out of her own book and stop being biased and conduct herself in a way that reflects the importance of the office of Speaker.
Mm-hmm. Some folks in the chat, they're saying that she was placed there for a distraction. And I don't mean to lecture Mr. Bunting on the rules, but there are provisions within the standing orders that he could have used to remove her from the hearing because she was disruptive. There are specific provisions in the standing order saying that if somebody is disruptive, you can remove her. But
you know something? Don't remove her. And I appreciate that fact that he didn't remove her, because then she showed her own ignorance by sitting and carrying on, and they had to go back into the very standing order that she likes to talk about and so much. They had to go. MP Newell had to go back in there and read from the standing order to say, this is how it's supposed to be done. And they do have a broad mandate. And if the mandate for that, the PAAC, it's called Public Administrative Appropriations Committee, correct? Mm-hmm. And the word is public. And the other operative word is administrative and appropriations, which means you cannot just come in there and skim over anything. You're talking about ministries getting billions of dollars. Okay? So they must dissect how it is spent. Okay, we can use the school bus saga as a perfect example. $1.4 billion was spent on the purchase of old decommissioned buses that you can get for free or for $1. Now, $110 buses, the minister said they purchased 110 buses. He didn't say they were going to. They said they purchased 110 buses, and the 110 buses cost $1.4 billion. Yet, only 82 buses are in operation. What happened to the rest of buses? And what happened to the remainder of that money? So that's the space to dissect all of this, to air all of this, to ventilate all of this, to turn the stadium lights on all of this, so the taxpayers know how their money is being spent, was spent, is being spent, and will be spent. And then you have the same minister coming to say, oh, he's now going to buy new buses. And you mustn't talk about it? That makes no sense. And she's talking about sparks and reach. Neither the sparks is sparking and the reach not reaching. So they really need to sit down and be serious about the spending of taxpayers' dollars, because it is very scarce. It's very scarce. And it's the people who feel it at the end of the day.
You know, when somebody tell me that they don't do it, even though the rules say that, you know, the chairman should do it, but he doesn't do it because he's fearful, then my response is then he shouldn't be there.
If what happened?
No, they're saying that he's fearful and that's why he didn't apply the rules and remove her or ask her to behave or run the risk of being suspended. And I'm saying, if you're the chairman and you know the rules and you don't do it, then all you're doing is making it worse. What you're doing is—
I would posit to say I don't think he's fearful. Sometimes you have to give people enough rope to hang themselves.
I don't think he's fearful. But what
I don't think he's fearful. No, he's not. I don't think he's fearful, but he gave her enough latitude.
He gave her too much, in my opinion.
I agree. Well, too much latitude. But in the end, she ended up looking like a fool because she tried to school them, but they ended up schooling her. I mean, you know, she should have approached it from in a different way.
And look, there's nothing wrong with her asking questions, but there are procedures. No. There are procedures. Wait to be recognized, and then you ask a question. You don't interrupt the chairman. You don't interrupt another speaker. That's all we're saying. And she came in like a bull in a china closet, and that's exactly what she did. That's exactly what. Let me see if I can. If this is we have a guest. Our guest is here, but let me just say. There's something I want to show you, people. Let me just see if this is it. Hold on.
It was very difficult to listen and get an appreciation of where the question was going.
This is the one.
Refurbishing. The average requires mileage. A little bit different how they are.
I don't know if it is. What would be?
But here's what I want to show you, and we'll go over it again. Saturday. What I want to show you is this. In the meeting, they were talking about Nikisha Burchell started asking questions about the pre-certification certificate. Something, I think it's pre-certification. Let me see what it is here. Pre-shipment certificate, right? And they were going over that. And it's apparent to me that some people, they don't know what this issue is all about. And some people are just flat out lying about the issues. Quickly show you something here before we move on to our guest. Hold on, let me show you something. Now, this is what they sent me about the first 26 buses. And what you'll hear in the video, you'll hear it on Saturday, is you'll hear the lady say that they did an inspection in Florida, and then they did another inspection when it arrived in Jamaica, and then another entity did another, JUTC and El Hydro, they did an inspection in Florida, and then JUTC did one when it got to Jamaica, and then another entity did another one. So they were inspected like 3 times. Now, take a look at this. Now, they said the report on pre-shipment inspection of 26 used American school buses, and that they were all at the port of Miami. That's not true. That's not true. There was at least one bus that was shipped out from Port Canaveral, from a different port. So that's not, at least one I'm aware of. So that's not true. Now, here's the thing. The purpose of the joint visit by representatives from El Hydro and JUTC was to conduct a pre-shipment inspection. Now, the question that Nikisha Burchell asked was the pre-shipment inspection certificate. Where's the certificate? Just like how when Mrs. Holness asked about children standing on the bus, standing in the buses, nobody answered that question. They can't answer it. They cannot. No, or they can answer it, but the answer is not going to be a good answer, because the truthful answer is that yes, and that runs counter to the argument that the buses are supposed to be safe. Yeah, they're supposed to be safe, and children are supposed to be seated. Now, here it is right there. They said El Hydro team and JUTC team, 4 people they sent to look at these buses. And one of the things I'm going to play on Saturday, one of the things you will hear is Chairman Bunting asking about, trying to clarify whether they did an inspection based on the specifications, and then they did another inspection on the roadworthiness, the mechanics of the bus. Well, I'm here to tell you that they did all of that. They're trying to make it seem as if they separated them. They did one in Miami because, you know, it had to be done in Miami, and then they did another one in Jamaica, and then another one. The last one was for roadworthiness. Look at this. Look at this. Inspection scope, what they did. See that? See this right here? Mechanical condition. So they were looking at engine startup, transmission, brakes, cooling systems. Then they looked at the body. Then they looked at the chassis and the undercarriage, right? Then they said all 26 buses were found to be mechanically sound. Engine started without issue, etc. No major leaks. Steering, braking system, and transmission components functioned as expected. The exterior and body panels were in good condition. No major dents. Windows and doors were intact and functional. Chassis, blah, blah, blah. Here it is. All 26 buses met the required standards for export and operational readiness for integration. And I'm going to show you Saturday that not all 26 buses were inspected in Miami. Couldn't have been, because some of them were exported, shipped from another port. And they said the inspection team is satisfied with the overall conditions, and the buses have been cleared for shipment. There it is. Now look right here. On arrival in Jamaica, they're going to conduct a secondary post-arrival inspection prior to registration and deployment. The question is, you pay somebody to buy these buses. You your specifications. Why you have to go and make sure that the specifications comply with the contract? No, you let them bring them to Jamaica, and if they don't comply, then you tell them, we're not taking this one, because here it is right here. The thing says this right here. But they went, and so they said, we're going to do one in Miami, and when we get to Jamaica, we're going to do another one, another 2 actually. So look at this. So they have the inspection checklist and the VIN. No. Remember I told you about the year of the buses? And remember we tell us, like in, was it Florida? The bus is only good for 10 years. Look at this one here. 2010. Look at this. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. 2010. More 2010. 2010. 2010. Then they have 3 2011. They have 1 2014, 1 2014, 1 2015. This bus is 10 years old. It's still at the end of its useful life. Right? And then we have more 2014, more 2014, more 2015, 2014, 2014, 2015, 2015, 2015. So the majority of the buses, folks, they're 2015. They're 2015. But we have a whole bunch of them 2010. Actually, no, some 2010s. We have, sorry, I misspoke. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 2010. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 2010. 12 of the 20.
I think you have more 2010, yeah.
Hold on, I think it's 12. Right. We have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13, I think.
13, yeah. Yeah.
13 of the buses of the 26. A full half 2010. Way past the useful life. Then we have the where do we have 2015s? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the buses are 2015s, and they're at the end of their useful life. So this 26, this set of 26 buses, garbage, scrapyard, garbage.
And so you see how it is, why people question the price tag for these old decommissioned buses.
We are going to show them the price tag Saturday. But that's why, you see, when we do this, people shouldn't complain. When we do this, right? No, we are going to show you something different. What you're going to hear on Saturday from the lady from the ministry, the JUTCP, what you're going to hear is that, oh, we check tires and they said that they check the tires when they come to Jamaica, and they check this and they check that. All right, what we have is a pre-inspection checklist, right? Here it is right here. Used buses, and we have the date that they checked them, June 16, right? And they arrived the minister said they would all arrive in Jamaica by the end of July. And here's a 2014, right? Now let's look. I'm going to show you something. They're going down all of the components of the vehicle. But there's one I want to show you. Look upon this. Number 19. Tires, tread, depth, matching, inflation. And what did they say? Okay. They said,
Wow.
okay. Okay. So if it's okay, then let me see if I can find this thing on this one here. If it's okay, then
all the wheel ain't rotten right now. This scary for the pit to them, man. Watch
Exactly.
out. To show you how long them are going to park up. Yeah, man. See it? Wow. Watch out. Yeah, man. I just passed me right at top of spur tree a little while. See that come up. See that? Throw them in that par. And go left one. Real old bus then go by, man. Real old bus. Watch it. Yeah, man, and I come full Jamaican. No can't trick you, know? Yeah, man, no can't trick you.
Wow. Oh my word.
right, that's right now. 19 tires, tread depth, matching inflation, everything is okay. And if you think bus, let me go to another bus, because remember, this is one bus right here, right? This is the VIN number 4UZA, all right? So let's go, but look at this one. Well, that's 4UZA too, but this is a 2015, right? The one before. Look, let me just make sure I try to do the comparison. This one's a 2014, this one's a 2015. And let's go to 19 again. Look here. The tires, tread depth, matching inflation. Okay. Not bald. Not bald.
Oh my goodness.
And if you go through all 26, let's just pick, just let me just go down and pick one. Tell me when for stop, sis. Tell me when for stop.
Stop.
All right. Let's go to 19. See it again. Tire tread, tire depth, matching, inflation. Okay.
Wow.
See every single one of them. And you can't tell me, say, that those tires, you say, are not bust, the ball tires, that happened in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
That did not happen in Jamaica.
And then it calls into question whether or not they paid that kind of money for those buses, whether or not they were bought or they were donated.
Yep.
And the thing is, the ministers put himself in this position by not being forthright and forthcoming with information. And when questions are asked, then you get labeled bad mind, dumb, dark, and stupid. It is rather unfortunate. And he has to understand that the questions have to be asked because resources are scarce. Resources are scarce.
Here's another one.
See one more of the old fart, yeah. See one of the old wife, yeah. See one of the old wife, them the Hope Road that broke down. Broke down because traffic. See that? One of the old wife, them broke down. See them, yeah? Right in the middle road. Ratted, clad. Look on tire, look on wheel.
But this is side. How this man? How this?
Wow. Yeah.
Folks,
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
It's sad. It is sad.
We're going to have fun.
It is sad.
We're going to have fun with this document on Saturday because everything that they said, there's not one where they said, faulty or issue noted or whatever. They said everything is fine with these buses.
Everything is fine.
Yeah. And then the bus, you remember the video where you have the man that throw water in the radiator and we were told
yes, and you're not supposed to do that.
Exactly.
You're not supposed to do that. But another thing too, the $1.4 billion that they spent to buy old decommissioned buses, because those are decommissioned buses, let nobody fool you. That money could have bought new buses,
Of course.
Brand new, spanking new, brand new buses.
Of course.
So why didn't they do that investment? And nobody could have argued with them if they had gone that route in the first place. So now, when the minister is coming out to say that they're going to buy new buses, it now leads one to believe that the $1.4 billion, that quote unquote $1.4 billion that was spent, was really, how much did you spend on the buses and how much money went into the election?
Yeah.
So you see, he set himself up for this. Because there's no transparency.
And only 82 actually made it to the island.
And they only have 82 buses. So did the company deliver all the buses? Where are the remaining buses? And what happened to the rest of the money? Did you pay for all the buses and got 82? Or did you pay for 82 out of the 110? Because any which way you look at it, none of it makes sense.
Well, we're going to have fun with them because it's just sad that we're having fun at the taxpayers' expense.
It's not, no, but I think it's that you're not having fun with it. Is that you're going to dissect it. And in dissecting it, it causes, you see the damage that has been done. Because again, resources are scarce. So if anybody should be penny pinching, it will be the government and making sure that every dollar that they spend is spent wisely, that they're getting value for money. They should not be the ones to be just spending money willy-nilly. And the truth is, this government has a track record of reckless expenditure. Very reckless expenditure when monies are unaccounted for. And the thing is, they have to move away from this 18 years and 18 years and 18 years. What have you done in the 10 years that you have been there? Because when you keep bringing up 18 years and 18 years and you're basically saying you have nothing of substance in your 10 years to talk about. And the bus is one of them.
The reason why I say that is simply because of this.
Oh my God.
And they're stupid.
Yes.
They are dunce.
Oh
they
my
are dark and they're stupid.
But when the truth is, something, when you look at Darrell Vaz saying that, you just have to laugh, because he's the epitome of what he's calling other people. That's what he is. And you have to say he's basically holding up a mirror to himself. He's just projecting. So you know what? You have to see with him because he's not too right in his head.
Right. Well, we're going to leave it right there for now because we have our guest
Mm-hmm.
here patiently, Mr. David Crossburn. Let me just bring him to the stage here. Mr. Crossburn, how are you, sir?
Good night to you and your team. I'm well, thanks.
Yes.
Hi, Mr. Crossburn. How are you?
My fair lady, you're so much. You're my carbon copy of my sister.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
I can't believe it. It's unimaginable to know that me such a wonderful lady and to be in their presence.
Oh, I appreciate you. God bless. Yes, appreciate you.
General Rattigan, could you allow me just to say thanks before?
Indeed.
It is said that thankfulness is said to be oh my goodness. I'm so blushed.
Take your time.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Yeah, indeed. Thankfulness is said to be the parent of all virtues.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say garland of thanks to Mr. Rattigan for his informative presentation and the edification of all Jamaicans. I thank you, and I wish your project sincere. And this is just a moment that we will cherish and grow. And to say to all your team, to the wonderful Miss OT, a confetti, a huge confetti of deep gratitude for what she have done in bringing me to this moment. And to OT or Jummer, a drum roll of thanks to him, and looking forward to build on what he has introduced us. Sir, this is a moment I'm overwhelmed, I'm overjoyed, and I can forgive my shortcomings. But it's a moment that we will cherish and do everything to make it grow and flourish.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes. I'll just say my main reason, 3 projects. I don't know if Sister OT has presented
it. That's funny.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes. But the main thing, the main project I'd like to contact you on is the legacy project for Curtis Ward.
Okay.
You may know Curtis Ward is very likely that he is related to C.J. Ward, Clifford J. Ward, the nephew in Rare Neville.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite likely. So far, I've contacted the RGD and I've traces his heritage down to 1891. So, and it's so interesting. No one is around the family now. The person is abroad and will be coming back at the end of March, who can take me further than 1891. But in general, he's from an area in St. Elizabeth known as Treasure Beach.
Yeah.
And a lot of wards are in Treasure Beach. And I'm in contact with them and would like to really get the fulsome connection to know if he is related to C.J. Ward, which many Jamaicans do not know about, and it would enhance your civics. And we need to move the civics from civics to to my goodness, the word slipped me. From civics to I'll come back to it. But Sir Curtis Ward, the Ward Theatre in Kingston, he owned who that theatre is placed there for. Ward owned the Monument Sugar Factory. I have spent my entire life gathering information on the sugar industry. And Ward owned a lot of sugar factories in Jamaica, including the famous Monument Sugar Factory. He owned that factory up until his death in 1912, and then it went to be owned by the estate of C.J. Ward. And there are a lot of very astonishing stories that we could share about Curtis J. Ward. I have pictures of him and was intended to use it in I'm hopefully to use it in the second edition of my book, The Journey of the Jamaica Sugar Industry. Yeah, it's very interesting, very, very interesting. And as Lady O.T. may have shown you, in the first edition of my book, the University of Exeter in England use it among others to make a study on sugar. And my book is referenced at number 24 of the 60 books that was used in the presentation. I invite our guests to look at the presentation from the University of Exeter and look at book number 24. That's my reference there. And I can tell you a whole lot about the sugar industry, as I said before, which has been is a gift from God to me. I have been, sir, ladies and gentlemen, I've visited the Empire State Building in the US. I've visited the largest cave in the world. That's in Kentucky, the Mammoth Cave. And I tell our listeners, try and look up on Mammoth Cave, read about it. It's so interesting beyond measure. In the cave, which is 120 feet deep, is there I went down and understand the history of Jamaica. I am a lover of history, but did not understand it until I went 120 feet down in that cave, Mammoth Cave, where there's a rock, 2 rocks there in the cave. And in the cave, in the 1930s, like about 1932, they found a skeletal remains of a person in the cave amongst 2 rocks. When they analyzed the skeletal remains, it was down in the cave for 2,400 years. When I came in contact with that, my edge soul, and it's like they just open up the entire history of Jamaica and give me total appreciation of the history of Jamaica. And I commend to our listeners and our viewers that you read about Mammoth Cave in Kentucky and the skeletal remains that were found. Another driver for my interest in Jamaica and the role you are playing is with the civics. And when I had the opportunity, I went to Venezuela and had the opportunity of going into the sand dunes, climb into the sand dunes in Venezuela. And then it gave me total different appreciation. The place in Venezuela I went was in Maracaibo. A picture of the Maracaibo lakes is in the book. And when I found out, it's like when I returned and I opened my drawer and pick up that, I don't know, those of our members who might remember the history book of Jamaica. Are we familiar with that? The history book of Jamaica? Anyway, the red history book, the little
the red
history
one.
book.
Okay, yes.
Would
History
you
of Jamaica,
believe?
yes.
Yeah, would you believe that in that book it tells us that 50 ships left from Bluefields in Westmoreland and went to Maracaibo in Venezuela and overran Maracaibo and take back from Maracaibo 250,000 pieces of aid. And that was a huge part of our investment in Jamaica to build the industry. That was taken from Maracaibo. I was taken aback when I read that, and then begin to get deeper understanding. But Jamaica is a place of unbelievable, and measurable historical information. And I hope I'm not boring you too much. Can I go on?
Not at all.
Okay, thanks for your kind thoughts. And then another key part of the book that I'm encouraging each one to read about and to get familiar with is that Jamaica is an awesome place, and we just need to find a way to, as a people, march together. We are too divided and insulated, and if we can just come together as a people, nothing in the world can stop us, my people. We have it in our hands. Would you believe that at the heritage site in St. Anne, where was the first industrial operations in this hemisphere, the launch of the sugar factory in 1528 at the Civil Heritage Park. That was before they removed the capital from Civil to Spanish Town in Jamaica. Why they removed the site there? For two reasons. One, the ladies the family were not raised. They died quite young because it's not fully established what is the reason up until now. That's a good point for us to try and review and to find answers for, because when the Spanish left Civil, they were doing fairly well. They established the sugar factory, and I must pause here and commend a lady from a university in Canada who spent 30 years researching, doing archaeological work at the factory, the Civil Sugar Factory, the first industrial building in this hemisphere. And there she found the ruins of the original sugar factory, that the Civil Sugar Factory. There are another factories there, a British factory, that's where they have the present heritage site. But on the side of the sea, that's where the original Spanish sugar factory was. But to add to that, at the University of the West Indies, which was laid out on the Ligani Plains, an original Spanish sugar factory operated there right up until the time that the British came. Is at the 6-year war, Sir Rattigan. They have a 6-year war from 1655 until 1660. So in 1660, at the end of the war, the owner of the sugar factory, a Spanish widow, leave the Ligani Plains, and went across right down to Port Esquivel in St. Catherine, and then went across right up onto Ocho. So if you look on the map of Jamaica, you see an area known as Old Woman Savannah. That's where the Spanish widow settled after she ran away from her investment on the Ligani Plains at the University of the West Indies. The ruins are there. Many of you may be familiar with the aqueduct and thinking that maybe no, the aqueduct is actually belonging to another sugar factory. But the remnants of the old sugar factory, not the Spanish, but the English sugar factory on the grounds of the University of the West Indies, which I mentioned in the book, is still existing. To this day, the pay office is still on the compounds of the University of the West Indies. And there again,
David.
Yes?
David, tell you what I'd like you to do. Take a few moments and kind of introduce yourself to us, because some people have written to me and they said they'd like to know who is speaking, that you're giving them a history lesson, but they just want to know who's providing that history for them.
Yes. Okay. Well,
I can't see your face.
David Crosburn is visually impaired. I have gone through 10 surgeries. So forgive me if I'm not coming across as I should. But 10 different ophthalmologists, as one, 2 in mother and daughter in Jamaica, husband and wife team in Jamaica, 1 from Barbados, 1 from Dominican Republic, 1 in Guyana, and 2 more in ophthalmologists operated. Millions of dollars. And I'm left with 0 vision in my left eye and 0 in my right eye, and maybe about 1% vision in the left. But I'm thankful, I'm not worried. God has been good. I'm a child of God. If I'll ask Sister OT to provide the video with the church, my church in Fort Pass United Church, which has been in the island since 1834. That church is where I worship. And
he serves as an elder, lay preacher, president of the Men's Fellowship, and he would be representing the church at meetings, seminars, conferences, etc. Even now, today, in his elderly years, Brother Carsburn continues to share with us worthwhile historic information for the good of the gospel here in Fort Pass. Please extend to Brother Carsburn our thanks and our love.
Thanks indeed, Sister OT, for sharing that with your audience. Yeah, I've been that church by itself. It was established in 1834 by missionaries from the London Missionary Society. So, notwithstanding I worship there, they did not begin to understand the background of that church. from its establishment in 1834. And I'd love for us to work together and really set out a deep understanding of that church history and the contribution. It started as a congregational church. It was the first congregational church in Jamaica, and later merged with the Presbyterian after long discussion. After long discussion, and they became the United Church of Jamaica. Then in the early 90s, the Disciples of Christ joined with them. The Methodists was in the discussion, but the Methodists, there was some disagreement or some hesitancy towards there's something they wanted to carry over from the Methodists, and they couldn't come to an agreement, which is typical Jamaican. That's one of the things keeping us back. They couldn't come to the agreement. So the Methodists, as you know, was born out of the Anglican because they thought that the Anglicans were not methodical. So they separated and become the Methodists. So they couldn't reach to an agreement. So presently out there, Methodists.
Well, a question to you before you move on, Mr. Carsburn. Is it Mapen Four-Path or Chapelton Four-Path United?
Thanks for your kind question. Mapen, the one Mapen in Clarendon. Yes.
Because because the United Church, I grew up in Salem United Church in Chapelton, so I'm familiar with the United churches. So that's why I wanted to make sure.
My dear lady, I told you were my sister. Now you're generating, and I'm telling you this, I say it with tears in my eyes. Why you see, and yet look at the murder in Jamaica, and we all are connected. If we only speak to each other, you'll find out that everyone is connected, and we are destroying our brothers, not knowing that there's a relationship, there's some connection. About 20 years ago, I was working with a gentleman from Kenya. His name is Wabuke. Mr. Wabuke said, David, why are we destroying and do you know that you are all connected? Do you know that you're all connected? Here am I, I'm meeting you for the very first time, and yet we are connected to the same church. And you have multiplication of this. And thank you for that. Yeah, man.
But let me ask you, what is it that, what was the driving force behind you writing this book? What inspired you to write this book?
Well, thanks for the question. My grandfather, they asked a question. My grandfather is Norman Alexander Dunn. And if you pull up a map of Jamaica, he's from way up in the hill of St. Anne, bordering on St. Catherine, a place by the name of Rose Hill. And if I just pause to make a point here, I am wondering myself, how did my mom, I don't know my mom died when I was 6 months old.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah, and I said to myself, my mom, how did she met my father, And the name Don, from way up in that hills, up in St. Anne there. I'm wondering, if you drive on the highway, leaving Linstead, taking the highway, the toll road, as you climb the hill and begin to look down to your left and see the mud lake, that is that section of those hills that my grandfather but they later come down to a district by the name of Treadways. And I'm appealing to all who is in the hearing now. I'm appealing to all who is in my hearing. This is one of the main things I would like Mr. Rattigan to represent this case in England for us. My upbringing was in Treadways. Treadways is a treadmill. If you can Google and look up the treadmill that the Dawkins family set up there as a punishment for our people. The treadmill, if you read about the treadmill estate in Treadways, it ceased operation in 1835. 150 workers work at the treadmill, work there. And of the 150 workers, 15 every year has been manumitted. Why do you think they manumitted? The punishment from the treadmill means they could not continue working. They have to put them out in the pasture. And most importantly, Brother Rattigan, the 10 workers from this Treadways sugar factory made the flat bridge. Those were the workers. Each estate up in that section of the island is the epicenter of judgment and brutality. The 10 workers from that area, from each of the sugar factories in that area, made the flat bridge. And we would like to build this story to a huge point. You know, for as you know, up in Estonia, they have cameras now that can take the picture and see what the bridge was made from and so on. So we'd like that opportunity to maximize what can be done there. But back to the Treadways itself. It's connected not only to the Dawkins. The Dawkins family owned 2,400 acres. Dawkins up in Treadways, Dawkins in Caymanas, and then over in Clarendon, in the Pennant area, you have Dawkins own properties over there as well. So that's a huge story that would need to put together on, you know, to make
Crosburn. Mr.
Yes?
Crosburn, 1 second. Are you familiar with the name Yuda Dawkins?
No.
Okay, because you mentioned the Dawkins and the ownership of that land, I know they owned property in the Mapen area, and they had all these fencing company and all of that. So as you said it, I remember about that those set of people.
Yes, they go back from in the 1700s. You know, the Dawkins.
Yes.
Huge acres up in Clarendon, up in the old plantation sugar estate in Pennant area.
Yes, over Dawkins. Yes. Where they have the orange field over there.
Yeah.
Dawkins, yes, they call it over Dawkins, yes.
Yeah, strange enough, the orange has gone home, you know. We don't have no orange in Jamaica again.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
So Dawkins have an orange? Wow, that's crazy.
No. Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Dawkins would be near to Morgan Spas, correct?
Definitely.
Pennant, Morgan Spas, yeah.
Pennant, yeah. The Pennants contributed or owned tons of lands in Jamaica too, you know.
Yes.
So Morgan Spas, I'll tell you a little bit on Morgan Spas. Would you share?
Yeah, that's okay. No, because you're talking and you know what you're saying. The history of it. I do. Remember some of it. Yes.
I'll tell you a little about Morgan Spas. Morgan Spas was owned by the Welshman Henry Morgan.
Yes.
He was the one who left and took away Maracaibo in Venezuela and brought, yeah. But because they had the understanding between the Spanish and the British that they would not interfere with one another's territory again. So when he came back to Jamaica with those loot and so, he could not, he was sent to be punished in the Tower of London. After leaving the Tower of London, he came back and they promoted him to be a governor or second to the governor. And then he was exiled from Port Royal and he came to Morgan's Pass in Clarendon and settled up there. Up in Morgan's Pass in Clarendon.
Yes,
So
yes. Because they still have the Morgans. Do you know the house is still, the great house is still around in Morgan's Pass?
Yes, that's my understanding. And not only that, you might, before you reach Morgan's Pass, you might know of the area, Danks.
Yes, Danks Orange Walk, yes.
Yeah, well, Danks, he gave his wife, Elizabeth, she was a German. So in saying thanks for the gift of land. It said it get corrupted. The French word get corrupted and we know the area as Danks. But it's as really Danks, his wife Elizabeth was saying thanks.
Okay. Yeah. You see, you never know. I didn't know that.
No, a lot of corruption in Jamaica because of the another one I couldn't tell you about is over in connected to Morgan just the same, is over in Westmoreland, an area. If you live in Grangeville going towards further up, going towards the St. James area. He owned those lands too, Henry Morgan owned those lands.
Henry Morgan, okay.
Yeah, and his wife owned properties there. And the name of the place, if you ask the citizens there now, what's the name of that place? They will tell you, Mijam. They know, yeah, 2 generations of people would know there, or even 3 generations would know that area as Mijam. The worker was writing the name Charlottenburg, what is the proper name, and in spelling CHARLO, and then just turn and say Mijam.
Okay. You have a wealth of knowledge there, Mr. Crosburn.
I'm so glad to be in your company, man. I thank you. That's how the area out in name. It was Charlottenburg, and it's now named Mijam up in Westmoreland. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A couple of people wrote to me and they're asking, where can they buy your book?
Well, that's what I'm putting in the hands of Lady Maria to ensure that she get it up on Amazon for me, and not only to get it on Amazon. It would be better if we upgrade and put the second edition, because a lot of what I wanted was to maybe another 20, 40 chapters and then upgrade it. I have all the details just to it, but because of my incapacity, so Lady Maria, that's in your hand. Not only that, I put you in charge of everything and put it as a contribution, a portion for the OJLDF.
Okay.
Yeah. Journey of Jamaica sugar cane. But where can they buy it right now? If they need to buy it right now, where can they purchase it?
Well, in Jamaica, at a bookstore by the name in Kingston, by what's the name again? A bookstore, Jamaica. I can't. Sleep. I'm so ashamed that I can't tell you.
No, don't be ashamed. It's okay.
Yeah.
Here's what we all do. You have a few people who would really like your contact number. Do you mind if we share that with them?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay. And
yeah,
because we're pressed for time now, what I'd love for you to do, because people are in the chat are saying that we should have you on a Saturday when we have a bigger audience. So I don't know what your schedule is like this Saturday, but there are people here who find your recounting of history rather fascinating. And so, and a lot of them, they have, you talk about family names, and a lot of them, they're from that stock. They have some of the same names, or their families from some of the places. The families are from some of the places that you mentioned. So they'd love to have some more of you. But
yes,
we're kind of pressed for time. So what I'll do is this. Let me have you, if you're available, let's have you come back this Saturday, and then we can.
Yeah. Thanks for your courtesies, man. I'll be available because it's my love, my heart, and I'm glad to be in good company. And thanks to everyone, and thanks. It provides a lot of energy, and we can do a lot. And I'm dedicated to your contribution.
No worries. And people, David's number is in the chat right now. If you look on the, it's right there, OJLDF, and you see his number is 876-495-1808. That's 876-495-1808. You can reach him. Don't call him too, but he's available. So David, here we're going to stop it right here. I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing. And we're looking forward to seeing you this Saturday.
Yes, blessing.
She'll give you the time.
Yeah, blessings.
And it's a pleasure meeting you, David, and Godspeed.
Yeah, you're my sister. You're my sister deep.
Yes. Yes,
indeed.
yes. Appreciate you. Yes.
Yeah, and thanks everyone. Take care of each other,
Yes,
that is true.
Yeah.
Right. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Such a wealth of information.
A lot. We have people see, we're not only, people say, bad news, but here it is, we bring on somebody now who will bring some positive vibes. And a family from that area, and have a mother who, related to this person, or, our aunt who was from that part of the country. So, truly, we're going to have David back, and he's going to provide you with a range of stories, and he's going to make the connections. And like I said, we're all connected. We're all connected. There's degrees of separation. I think in Jamaica, it's less than 6 degrees.
6 degrees. Remember, given that Jamaica is the capital of what I call it now, jacket. Everybody is related. we're closer than you think. Much closer than you think.
That is so
you'll be surprised.
Right. We only have like about an hour left. What I want to do is show you. We showed you the PAAC. Now we want to show you the Standing Finance Committee. We want to show you when the ministers came under the spotlight to talk about the budget, essentially, what they're planning the next fiscal year and forward for us. And we're going to start with our world-class finance minister. And I say that facetiously because I'm telling you, folks, I think that there's something wrong with this lady. I mean, this is just my observation. I could be wrong, but from what I'm seeing, we've gone from a Nigel Clark who was very verbose, and, Nigel Clark animating. And I think Nigel Clark grew into Nigel Clark. I think early in life, he was like a bookworm. He was basically, I don't think he was he was the kind of person that we witnessed over the last several years. In contrast, we have Minister Favour Williams, and what a contrast. What a contrast. At least Nigel could come up with some quips. He could come up with this and you could say, yeah, I'm a liar and blah, blah. But a lot of us didn't even know what he must say, right? Because him use all them words.
Convincing liar.
Yeah. And some people say, even make up the words. Some say, logarithm, algorithm, tropical rhythm.
Algorithms
But at least
and the granularity.
Yeah, he gave us the appearance that he was in control of his faculties. And the issue, people, when you have a Nigel Clark, as bad as Nigel Clark was in terms of the policies and all of that, I'm just talking about how he presented. Look at this.
That's my minister, though, you know.
Miller Bennett, is that your... Go ahead, member.
Minister, I noticed that the Postal Corporation of Jamaica, you're projecting an increase in revenue of commercial services. I'm concerned and I'm asking, what has been the implication of the U.S. executive order to suspend duty-free diminished treatment for all countries? How has this impacted, or how will it impact the revenue, commercial services revenue of the corporation?
So, member, thank you for that question, but the post office has not indicated to us that they're seeing any severe impact or any impact from that policy.
Minister, that's a main income stream for the Postal Corporation. So I think it is important to know how this impacted, in addition to the fact that many post offices were affected by Melissa. So your revenue income your commercial services revenue would be impacted, but you are projecting to increase this in the upcoming year. Is there some other way to increase this?
Member, could you repeat your question? Sure. If you could be a little bit more specific.
The question, Minister, is that quite a few post offices were affected by Melissa. As a matter of fact, most post offices are closed. How are you projecting to increase commercial services revenue for 26-27? They were badly affected by Melissa and closed. How are you projecting to increase commercial services revenue in addition to the executive order by the U.S., where the Postal Corporation is revenue for packages under $800? That's a main income stream for the Postal Corporation. That would have been affected by the executive order of August 2025. But you're projecting an increase in commercial services revenue. What is it that the Postal Corporation will be doing to fill this revenue that you're projecting?
All right, so the projections there would come from the entity who best understand the business that they're in, the different streams of business, and what they will be able to do in the coming year to maintain and improve their revenues. As I said earlier on, that entity has not, through the budget process, brought to our attention any negative impact that it is seeing, and I'm sure if it was, it would be reflected in their ask of the Ministry of Finance, because to the extent that their revenues are negatively impacted, they would have to make it up someplace else, and generally it's to the Ministry of Finance that they come, and we have not seen, we haven't gotten that information that they are suffering at all from that policy in the U.S.
In essence, Minister, you're saying that you're not equipped to answer the question then?
So no. Let me respond, because obviously the member does not yet have an appreciation or know of the budget process, right? Does not. She just does not know. I'm trying to explain to her. I am explaining to her that there is a budget call that goes out. The ministries and departments and agencies put together their own budget. They come to the Ministry of Finance for discussion and analysis of what they've put together. Ministries that are having issues or they think that they will need some help from the Ministry of Finance because of whatever the marketplace is throwing up at them, that is when we would get that information. To the extent that it did not show up during the budget process, it is safe to assume that the entity is not seeing anything that would negatively impact its revenue projections. So that's the answer.
This woman doesn't know what she's talking about. She just don't contradict herself, because the budget call, they submit the budgets, right? Ministries, agencies, and departments. And she said that they have an engagement with the Ministry of Finance. So they go over it. You just don't accept it and then just throw it and then come and talk about it. You ask questions like, okay, you gave me this. Last year you asked for something less, or you asked for more. This year you're asking for less or more. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Plan to explain these numbers to me. That's the whole purpose of that engagement after budget call. Budget call is when they say, all right, give us your budget for the next fiscal year. And they come in and they sit down and they have a conversation. And what you're going to hear, if you watch this thing, you'll see that what she said completely contradicts what she just said. What do I mean by that? She would say, oh, you have to go talk to the ministries and the agencies and departments about this, that. And yet she said, oh, we sit down and we talk to them about the numbers when they come to us. We talk about help that they possibly need. And it's also their job to have a discussion about shortcomings, about deficiencies, about trends. It's the ministry's job. But I don't understand this lady, and I guess I never will.
So just because you don't like the answer, Minister, does not mean that I have not provided you with an answer.
Well, this is the problem in the ministries with the government.
I'd like to make a statement.
No member, no statement necessary.
Minister?
No member, no statement necessary. Do you have any additional questions? Any additional questions?
The bully in chief.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, after which it is Member Dawes and then Member Jackson. No, not you yet, Member Jackson. Dawes and then Jackson. Member, go to your next question, please.
Minister, while I can appreciate being a new member.
No statements.
You see, that's the problem with Juliet Holness. Why she can't make her statement? She not at her yard.
Remember, when you make comments to the minister is going to answer you as well. So if you can't.
Speaker, let the lady make her statement and ask her question and let the minister.
Of course, as she should. She's entitled. She has that right, Rattigan. She is entitled to do that. Why is Juliet Holness standing in the way of these members of parliament? And this thing about them being new into the parliament does not mean they don't understand how the parliament runs. That's disrespectful. Weren't they once new to the parliament?
This is crazy. This is crazy people here.
Take the heat, you have to stay out of the kitchen. But we move to the next one. No. You can't say anything. You have to move to the next one. Yes, and you can't make any statement again. Member, do you have any more questions?
She's disrespectful.
You have any more questions?
Minister.
Member, you have any more questions, not statement?
No, they need to make their statements and ignore Juliet Holness because Juliet Holness not run our house.
Minister.
Member Miller Bennett, do you have any more questions?
Member, I will not go out of character to match yours.
Member Daly. Member Daly, please control yourself.
Look who's talking about too much, but control herself and she has no manners.
Do you have any more questions? Please, members, allow the member to ask her question if she have another question. Member,
Minister.
your mic is on.
Jesus.
Member Miller Bennett.
She a fool with the mic. She don't know what she do, A fool with the mic. See a mic, she coming at
Rattigan, she is just too disrespectful. Because she cannot look at Member Miller Bennett and tell her that no more statement, no, only ask a question. No, she's not, this is not her house. This is the people's house. So Member Miller Bennett has a right to make her statement. And she has a right to question the minister. And the truth of the matter is the minister, the truth is she doesn't really have a handle on the public purse. Right? And she has yet to cauterize the hemorrhaging of monies through the various ministries since she has taken up the mantle of Minister of Finance. And so every member in the parliament has a right to question the minister. She's the minister, as a matter of fact, she's second to the prime minister in terms of power structure, because she is responsible for how monies are dispersed to ministries and what it is spent on. So they have a right to question her. And Minister Favor being disrespectful in the way she responded to Member Miller Bennett. She should be chastised for that. And she should be called out for her sleepiness, because the truth of the matter is, it doesn't mean because Member Miller Bennett is new to the parliament, doesn't mean she doesn't understand how budgets work. I think the person who doesn't understand how budgets work is the minister herself. And she's in the wrong ministry. She's misplaced. And she's misplaced and she's using arrogance in place of information.
I'll finish up this.
Member Miller Bennett, if you're taking instructions from other members in the House before you can move to your next question, if you have no other question, then you would have to let me know you have no other question so I can move to the next member. So I've been asking you, do you have another question? And if you can ask your next question. You notice I've been asking her?
I'm gonna put this back there.
Simple.
Go ahead, member.
Minister, I noticed that the Postal Corporation of Jamaica, you're projecting an increase.
It's a double.
Bad.
Yeah, let me remove this. Yeah. This is bad. It's bad.
It is bad. And the persons who cannot take the heat and must get out of the kitchen are Juliet Holness, her husband, and the Minister of Finance. Because nobody must ask them questions. Because the minute you pose questions to them, they start to trace like all Higgler.
You know, the same thing, you know, remember she was complaining about the microphone, the microphone with the PAC. We're going to play the video Saturday where she herself had problem with the microphone in the house. She herself have problem, and she go over there and I tell the man all kind of foolishness. And then, but what we are going to know is we are going to open up the phone line and give you a chance to actually say some things. You know what? Before we do that, I just wanted to just point out something to you. I have this document up. This is a document from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, and it's their update on the decision to end the technical cooperation between Jamaica and Cuba. And I just want to point out, we started going on this road on Saturday, and I just want to continue because there's so much to talk about. Let me turn off the phone. Don't call me yet. We're not ready for the phone yet. Let me just go through this thing and then we can talk a little bit about this. Let's start right here. Let me see. Yep. You can see that, sis?
Yeah, but among their concerns, that one?
It
is widely known.
That the United States government has publicly raised concerns about the operation of the medical program globally. They're talking about the Cuban program, including the denial of access to travel documents, restricted freedom of movement, and salary payment matters. The government, Jamaican government, that is, considered it necessary to review the existing arrangements to ensure compliance with domestic and international legal obligations. And then this right here. Other countries in the region have done the same. Ignore that. Whenever you see that, that is a deflection. Now they're trying to say, oh, other people have some issues with it and what. No, Jamaica. You have the Cubans there for 50 years. Let's talk about you. Let the other countries deal with the problem however they see fit. And some of them are not the way that Jamaica is dealing with it. Now, it says that the U.S. government publicly raised concerns. The U.S. government has been raising concerns about the Cuban program for quite a number of years. And the things that they're writing here, they've said it. They've talked about the denial of access to travel documents. Them take with the Cuban doctors and passports, right? The Cuban government. And so they said it restricts movement. And they said, oh, payment matters. The money is paid directly to the Cuban government, and the Cuban government turns around and then they pay the doctors in Jamaica. However, the Jamaican government pays the doctors for overtime directly, not the main salary. The main salary goes to Cuba and then it's transferred to the doctors in Jamaica. But the overtime, they get it directly from the government of Jamaica. No, that in and of itself tells you that Jamaica knew what it was doing, because they paid overtime to the doctors directly. But they don't pay the salary directly. They pay the salary to the government of Cuba. They can't say they didn't know. They can't, and they said, oh, the U.S. raised concerns about it publicly. And so we consider it necessary to review it. So the U.S. government caused you to review. You know, let me just stop and say this. I don't know who is advising my favorite minister, but whoever it is, they need to put that person out to pasture. And if the minister is not taking advice and is writing these press releases on her own, then it confirms my belief about her. Because when you read this thing, it's just full of non sequiturs, as they say in law. I mean, it doesn't follow. It doesn't follow. You're saying one thing here in a paragraph, then you come and you say something else below. And the more they write, the more they look like, as a dear friend of mine in Jamaica would call them, buffoons. The more they write is the more they expose themselves. Now, see, what they talk about here, they say that the U.S. government publicly raised the concern, right? So, folks, this, if I were advising her, I wouldn't even put this inside here. Other countries in the region have done the same. Nonsense. Now, look at this. Just follow me. The U.S. government complained, and then the Jamaican government said, oh, we have to look at salaries, how they're paid, and we have to look at the travel issue regarding the passports, right? Two issues, salaries, passports. So they said, following the review, it was confirmed, as if they didn't know, it was confirmed that there were no issues with treatment on the job. They knew this. Accommodation entitlements or freedom of movement in Jamaica. They knew. But here's a catch. They said it, however, revealed two issues which required immediate attention. And says, among the concerns identified was the fact that Cuban personnel were not in possession of their own passport. Jamaica government on a notice. And look at this. Look at this. And that was brought to the government's attention, or when it was brought to the government attention, immediate steps were taken to correct it. The issue was raised with PICA as well as the Cuban authorities to ensure that all persons were allowed to hold their passports. Now, remember, folks, remember what they said. The U.S. government publicly expressed concern about this. And so that caused the Jamaican government to take a review of the matter. And they reviewed what they had been doing for 50 years. That's it. They reviewed what they'd been doing. So they can't come and say,
before you continue, Rattigan, before you continue, okay, 50 years, subtract 40. Andrew had it for 10 years.
Yeah.
So focus on his 10 years that he had this to deal with, you know?
Okay.
What did they do? How much did they know?
All right. No, they said the concern was that the Cuban person were not in possession of their own passports. And they said once that was brought to the government's attention, the question is this: who brought it to the government's attention? They said once it was to our attention, who brought it to your, did you bring that to your attention? Is that what you're saying? Because you've been doing it. So when you tell me that you brought it to your attention, that's nonsense. You've been doing it. And you do it every year. You do it every year. Look at this. Look at this right here. They say more fundamentally, the government also look at this. Look at this word here. Discovered that salary payments were being made by Jamaica to the Cuban authorities in US dollars. Now, how do you discover that you've been doing something?
Exactly.
Let's go back to the last 10 years. The last 10 years,
you've
been paying the Cuban government. So how you discover that Jamaica has been paying? The Jamaica government, you have been paying the Cuban government, and you just discovered it. After the US government raised concerns about it, you discovered that you've been doing it. Look at this. They said the only payments made directly by the government of Jamaica to the personnel, to the doctors in Jamaica themselves, overtime payments. So let me see if I figure this out. Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. The government of Jamaica is paying overtime payments. They're not paying the main salary. And for the last 10 years that you're in power, you have been doing it. And then you turn around now and you say, we just discovered that this was being done. How is that? And then they said there was no contractual provision specifying what share of those payments was to be made to the workers. That arrangement raised serious concern. There was no contractual provision specifying what share of those payments was to be paid to the workers. Hold on a second now. You have a contract with the Cuban government, not with the doctors. You have a contract with the Cuban government. You have been paying the Cuban government. You could care less, because in a way, the doctors, they're like subcontractors of the Cuban government.
Yes.
Right? So as somebody who's requesting service, you don't care who provides the service as long as you get the service. So you
Exactly.
yeah, so you pay the Cuban government as to send the workers, and we will pay them the overtime. So what do you mean that there was no contractual provision? And remember, go back to the key, ladies and gentlemen. This started when the U.S. government raised concern. Go back to that. Keep that in your mind. Just keep that. That's the base. We're working from that perspective. Now look at this. The government chose a path of respectful engagement and quiet diplomacy. And they said in July of last year, Jamaica commenced formal discussions with the Cuban government aimed at restructuring the arrangement to ensure compliance with Jamaican law and international conventions. No, this arrangement terminated in 2023, I believe, 2022, 2023. And they started negotiating. So when they said beginning of last year, 2024, the arrangement expired in 2023. So what happened between 2023 and July of last year? They weren't talking? They weren't renegotiating?
A question to you, Rattigan. How often is this contract renegotiated, and how many times in the 10 years have they renegotiated this contract? Because they have 10 years. And I'm quite sure that the contract did not last for the 10 years. So how many times did the government renegotiate this contract?
I'm not mistaken. I think it's like every 3 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Every 3 years. So that means, so they weren't aware of all these issues when they were doing all these renegotiations?
It expired. They had a contract in 2022, October 2022, and I think in February or March 2023, they had problems, and so the whole thing expired, and they've been negotiating since 2023 until last week, right? But look at this. They want to make sure that everything is in compliance with Jamaican law and international conventions, which require that workers be paid directly and have control of their travel documents. Now, what this says now? Jamaica has been violating the law. If Cuba violated the law, Jamaica was complicit in it. Because forget about international law, local Jamaican law. They're saying that, we want to make sure that they comply with it. Well, guess what? They weren't complying with it. And why weren't they complying with it? Because you, Jamaica, didn't see it fit to raise this issue with them because you were satisfied with the agreement. You were satisfied. Now look at this. Following cabinet discussions, a formal proposal was made in October, and this followed up with a further communication in December. And they said that we've been trying to get, to work with the Cubans, but the Cubans, here it is right here. Despite these repeated efforts, no substantive response was ever received, whether verbal or in writing from Cuba. So they said, we're trying to negotiate with the Cubans to have a different agreement to make sure that we comply with local laws and international laws. And the Cubans just weren't receptive. And it's at the same time, Jamaica became aware that other Caribbean countries had arrangements under which Cuban medical personnel were paid directly. That made it clearer that a lawful and transparent alternative was possible. Yeah, it was possible from the UNITEC power, because guess what happened? The election was February 2016. A few days, I think it was like about 12 days later, you had a contingent of Cuban doctors who came in. And if you were doing your job properly, you Jamaican government, you would have said, no, we don't want them here because it's in violation of Jamaican law and international law. But no, you kept them. And then when COVID came around, they sent over 100 medical personnel to help Jamaica. You didn't refuse them. You never complained. And you remember what you said, go back to the base, people. The U.S. government complained, expressed concern about this. And the U.S. government was expressing concern way before. Now, look at this. Let me just look. Hold on a second. All right. It says, they said, because the Cuban government didn't respond, we couldn't continue. And given our legal obligations and our duty to ensure fairness to workers in Jamaica and the need for compliance with our own laws and international conventions, the government ultimately concluded that continuation on the terms was untenable. So the government of Jamaica, them decides, no, we're not going forward. See that? Jamaica's position is clear. It says, we value the contribution of Cuban medical personnel. We respect the Cuban people and remain committed to cooperation. However, no program operating in Jamaica can continue on terms that are come back again. Jamaican law, international conventions, them just find them voice right as well. How about for the last 10 years, couldn't find your voice? And it says here, the government of Jamaica is disappointed that the Cuban government has chosen to withdraw. The medical personnel has chosen to withdraw when you up here. So you said that it was untenable. Go forward.
Yes. So that's contradictory.
Exactly. Now, here is something I want to ask them now. What I want to ask them, sis, is this. If you're going to make that kind of expenditure, government to government, then what that means is that there has to be a budget. There has to be a budget, right? So the Ministry of Health and Wellness would have had budget for technical cooperation agreements with countries, including Cuba. So you knew that you were paying Cuba out of the budget. You knew because you put it in the budget. How else are you going to pay another government if you don't have a budget? And that budget went through Parliament. That budget,
and it would also carry over into the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
They all knew. They all knew, people. So what we're trying to do, and what I did, I sent an ATI and I said, I need to know how much money was in the budget for the technical agreement with the Cuban government. And you know what, they got it, and I'm sure they're gonna think twice before answering, because here's what happened. First of all, they have to answer, because that's a matter for the public to know. Taxpayers must know, our interested parties must know how the budget was arrived at, how the money was spent. Here's the thing. Once you see that number inside it, then you go to them and say, then how didn't you know that the Cuban government was being paid the salary? Here it is, you put it saying you're going to pay them. So how you can turn around now and say, oh, we didn't know, we just found out. The American government raised concerns, and so we decided to review the contract. Foolishness. Foolishness, people.
But Rattigan, the bigger issue here, 350 medical professionals left. Have they been replaced? Where's the replacement?
I'll tell you why they weren't.
Because
you know,
at the end of the day, you know, Rattigan, at the end of the day, it's the people who are suffering. Because the eye clinic, obstetrician, gynecology, all of those things, the clinics, the local clinics. So if the government knew this all along, shouldn't they then have made arrangements to fill the gap before getting rid of 350 persons? Make sense, because that's a shortfall right there. And already they're strapped for medical professionals. There's a shortage of medical professionals. So if you now add the 350 to that, and they did not make arrangements to plug that gap, how then are these persons going to get medical care? What about the persons who, I heard the minister say the persons who, some people will be sent into the private sector. Who is going to pay for them to go to the private sector for care, for health care? Is the government going to cover that cost?
Let me show you two things. Let me show you two. Well, the first thing was that in the document I just showed the release, they said that the U.S. government publicly raised concern. Nobody asked them, you know, why you're reviewing it. They came out and said, we're reviewing it because the U.S. government said so, right? No, and if you recall, Marco Rubio was in Jamaica 2025, March 2025. And that trip was for a specific purpose. It wasn't for frolicking. It wasn't for jollification. It wasn't for the beach. He went there with a message, essentially saying, you people get your act straight, because you know what? This Cuban program, we're going to destroy it, and you are a part of it, and your visas are in jeopardy. At the very least, your visas. Now look at this. This here is a House bill in the Senate of the United States. And look who are the sponsors. Mr. Menendez right here and Mr. Rubio, Marco Rubio, a senator. Look at the date, 2021. They've been talking about this program for years, but in 2021 they put a bill, right? And here is one of the things it says. It says here, the government of Cuba maintained an estimated 34,000 to 50,000 medical personnel in more than 60 countries under conditions that represent forced labor. And then they talk about, since the outbreak of COVID-19 in early 2020, the government of Jamaica has deployed approximately 1,500 medical personnel to at least 20 countries. Jamaica received over 100. And so they're trying to pass this bill. Now, here is the extension of this conversation. Here's the extension of this conversation. You have a representative in Washington, D.C. called an ambassador. At the time, it was Audrey Marks. It was Audrey Marks at the time, 2021, right?
Oh, 2021, yeah.
What is the purpose of an ambassador? I would love to ask former Ambassador Audrey Marks that question. What is the purpose? Tell me the role and the responsibility of an ambassador. Because I'm telling you that she does not know, or worse yet, she does not care. Because one of the things that you're supposed to do in Washington as an ambassador, you are supposed to ensure a presence on the Hill. You're supposed to make sure that you have a representative in Congress. You go up there, you press the flesh, you talk to the congressional staff, you talk to people, and you find out that if there are any bills that will be presented to Congress that will affect your country. That's part of your job. And then when you find out something like this, what you see on the screen here, you call back to the mothership, to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Port Royal Street, and you say, listen. Or if you don't want to talk on the phone, you fly, go down. And you say, listen, there's a bill coming up, that's going to affect us. It is going to affect us. I am doing all I can to ensure that it doesn't go through, but it has strong support on the Hill. There's a likelihood that it's going to pass and it's going to affect Jamaica. So here's what we do. We now need to make preparations in the event that this bill is passed. Not only that, the State Department has issued warnings saying that if you are complicit with the Cuban government in terms of the Cuban medical program, your visas are in jeopardy at the very least. And if they have information on you, God knows what else they'll do. That was what the ambassador was supposed to do from even before 2021, because it was before 2021, they put out things saying that, hey, we're coming after you for a visa. The question I have to ask Ambassador Audrey Marks is, what did you know about this and what did you do? Did you know about this and what did you do? People, I am willing to hazard a bet that she did nothing because she was busy doing other things. She wasn't busy doing the people's work, because going back to your question, going back to your observation, sis, that they don't have a replacement. This is why. Because if you had a good ambassador, they would say, listen, this thing is coming. Let's start looking for doctors and nurses elsewhere. And not only that, you know what I would have done as the ambassador? If I couldn't stop this, if I realized that, you know what, this is snowballing, I would go into the U.S. government. I would go to my contacts at State Department. I said, listen, you want us to stop the program because, the Cuban government is committing violations of law, and it's also a violation of our local laws. So here's what we do. If you want us to do it, yeah, we'll do it. And we'll come out and say, well, fine. We didn't realize it before, but laws are being broken and we can't countenance that. But what we would like you to do is we'd like you to subsidize getting nurses to Jamaica, because we're going to be losing over 100, 200, 300 medical personnel, and our people are desperately in need of this medical thing. So we can't just send the workers off and then we don't have an option. You know, we need something. So we'll do it, but here's what we're negotiating. We want you now to put up some money and help us now to pay for the nurses already in Jamaica, our local nurses, increase the wages, and also help us to subsidize workers coming in from overseas and help us to find those workers. Help us. That could have easily been done. But you know what happened? When you have the blind leading the blind, this is what happened. When you have, and I mean it metaphorically. I don't mean it, you know. This is what happens when people are short-sighted, when they don't know what they're doing, because the ambassador is at fault for this as well. This Cuban thing that's affecting the people in Jamaica, the ambassador is at fault. She should have gotten in touch with the Minister of Health and said, listen, let's have a meeting with our State Department counterparts and let's try and work something out so that we can at least, when these people are leaving, we have people coming. Or we have people coming before they leave so they can do a smooth transition. And then we won't have a break in service. But this is what happened when you have people who don't know what they're doing. Sis, go ahead.
You know, when you start to think about the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and I think the minister had said a few months ago that over a year ago or so, we'll go to the Philippines to look for nurses. And you have to ask the question, I think it's Philippines and Nigeria, but he was going overseas to get nurses. Okay, so you have to offer them an attractive package for them to relocate to Jamaica, which means you have to pay them a decent salary and you have to provide housing. Now, in my opinion, rather than do that, why not just train the nurses, offer them the incentive, pay them properly, provide them the housing, allow them to be able to get loans through NHT to buy a house so that they can work in a space that is conducive to them. And another thing too, when you consider that over $800 million is misappropriated, unaccounted for in the Ministry of Health, this creates this kind of problem. And when there's no accountability, then it's the people who suffer. Because if there was some level of accountability when 50 million went missing, 100 million went up, let me not say missing, unaccounted for, then you wouldn't reach a stage where you have this serious problem with the medical professionals in the system. Because you would have monies that you could put towards training and retention of these professionals. So on the one hand, losing these professionals, not having any replacement, but on the other, the lack of proper management of the Ministry of Health has led to this kind of situation because the system is bleeding money. You cannot pay the staff properly. And those who come in have issues. You have an issue with the system in place that allows for that to happen, and you have no replacement. So all in all, you have just a failed ministry. It's a failed ministry. So they have failed the people of Jamaica royally.
You know, it and the thing is, the suggestion that I've made, I make it based on experience. I've seen countries do things of the nature I just mentioned to you, where they said, okay, US government, you want us to get rid of this? Well, I tell you, yes, they said, we get rid of it, but we're going to be at a disadvantage if we just do it and we don't have have replacement. So what we're asking you to do is, yeah, we'll get rid of it, but we need you to help us to transition until we can start doing things on our own. And I've seen the US government say, okay, fine, that's reasonable, not a problem. And guess what? Everybody walks away happy. The US walks away saying, okay, that problem that we had is no longer exists. And the government says, okay, you want us to get rid of that problem, but if we had gotten rid of it and not negotiated, we would have been at a disadvantage because then there wouldn't be anything to replace what's leaving. And so we're happy that you're going to subsidize. So it's just crazy. People, we have a few minutes left. Let me open the phone line now. OT, we won't get to the 5 and 50 or 58. We won't get to the 5 versus 58. The phone line is open, folks. So 667-369-8569. Sis and I, we're here. We have a few minutes. When you call, if you call, please make it brief. Get to the point so we can get as many questions.
You're calling like Juliet Holness now, you know, Rattigan. Do not preface your question. Ask the question.
Just get to it. Normally I don't do this, but because we're pressed for time.
I know.
667-369-8569. So if we're not getting a call, we'll just wrap it up. And I can't say we never created the opportunity for you to call and ask a question or make a comment. Mega said no statement. He don't want any statement tonight. So, but people,
Mega what is too much.
But people, this Cuban, I'm looking at the tab here that Kevin created, and we have so much information in it, and we have more information to put in it by this Saturday. And we're gonna go into this because the reason why we have to keep, and by the way, there was a protest or a march, I think it was yesterday, in support of the Cuban doctors. This issue is not going to go away anytime soon. And you know why? Because people are suffering.
That is the problem, Rattigan. People are suffering because people have eye surgery, all kind of surgery scheduled. You know, people have to do follow-up care, and the system is already strained. And then you add this on top of it without any replacement. You know, they're behaving like they weren't aware of this from the get-go.
Yeah.
But then again, they don't, you know what it is, Rattigan? They don't care. They don't care because they are not affected. And they will not be affected.
You know why they don't care? Another reason too. They don't care because if they need medical care, they're not suffer. They fly to Miami. They fly to Miami, New York, fly to DC. Also, the truth is the Jamaican people cannot absolve themselves of responsibility too. They themselves act like they don't care until when shit hit the fan and everybody like, oh my gosh, how could this have happened? But they need to pay attention. Look how many persons have social media platforms talking about this is not the only issue that persons have been talking about for years. They cannot say that they were not informed voters. They cannot say that they weren't given information. There has to be some responsibility on their part too, you know. It's not only are they willing to stand up and hold the government accountable? When you can have a prime minister giving a political class getting millions of dollars a year in salary, 2 people in one home, or almost over $50 million in that home annually, okay? And you have a government who made sure of their 32 members of parliament, 3/4 of them, -5, is a minister of state, or a permanent parliamentary secretary. Okay? And the Jamaican people don't realize that. And when it comes to civil servants, they have no money to give them. So the Jamaican people also have to stand up and let their voices be heard and let them know that this is unacceptable. The Jamaican people, you know, and I'm talking now to the younger ones, you know, the people who are voting now for the first time or second time, you know, the younger age group. I'm talking to them because, and it's interesting the things that they said, because I said to them, listen, a lot of you took the step to register to vote. Why didn't you vote? Only 30% of the vote. Hold on a second.
Yeah, exactly.
Caller, good
Minority
night.
rule.
Please, Miss Rattigan. Oh, hold on. Hold on a second. Give me a second there. I forget for thing there. Kevin no laugh after me. We know Kevin no laugh right now. Bluetooth on. Wi-Fi on. All right. Hold on, caller. Hold on. Let me go back to Bluetooth. Hold on. All right. Not connected. Caller, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Ah, magic. Magic. Jeff at the controls this. Go ahead, caller. Talk to us.
How are you doing, Mr. Rattigan?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I am very well, thanks. And Miss Daisy?
Hi, my dear. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. And Mr. Megawatt, since this is not your platform, I can call in with a statement, sir. Well, you know, I always make, yeah. He said don't call in with no statement.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead, talk to us.
Mrs. Holness, your words. If you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen. Did you really understand your statement?
Mm-hmm.
You agree you're addressing your own self, madam?
Oh.
Your motives right there are of secondary importance, Mrs. Holness. You must first weigh the evidence before jumping into battle. Those MPs have all right to make a simple statement before they ask a question. I hear you saying you went to university and you do this. Did you buy your university degree, ma'am? Because it doesn't make sense what you're saying. You know, this is what you should learn and use it as a motto, as your motto or a reminder. Please praise in public and you correct in private. That's so simple to learn. Please understand that. Mr. Rattigan, have a good night.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
Take
Of
care.
course.
Bye-bye.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye. Yeah. You know, we have more misbehavior or incidents of misbehaving by the Prime Minister's wife, the Speaker of the House.
Yes.
We have more will show on Saturday. But I mean, this lady, she's an arrogant, and she's also ignorant, and she's also a bully.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, she's a bully. She's a bully.
Meeting and I'll tell them about how the PAAC for run. And the man have to say, no, so this is the thing here. So
But what is she hiding? Why is it that she doesn't want them to have take a broad approach to the discussion? What is it that she's hiding from the government? I mean, we know that money is bleeding left, right, and center. And that's from Melissa money. Oh my God. I mean, I can imagine how many MPs and ministers of government whose homes were damaged or whose businesses were damaged, whether they had gas stations, supermarket, or apartment complex, or how the business fixed back and everything, and the poor people, them still sleeping in cars. I'm telling you, when this Auditor General report comes out about the medical expenditure, you're going to hear how much money was misappropriated from Melissa.
One come with the boss. And people, you see how powerful we are. You see how powerful we are. Because you
can tell them from now what is going to come of that. Okay? Yeah. Because 1.4 billion was not spent on those buses. Speak the truth and shame the devil.
Listen, I'm trying to find, let me see if I can find it. Where was it? Boss. Let me see boss. Let me see boss. School mileage. There's, where is it? There's one here about the bus that I would love to show the people. I don't know if I'll find it now, but what happened? I wrote to the Auditor General, and I told her, I said, listen, I have a lot of information on the buses, you know. I said, we have information on the Chicago people who purchase the buses. We have information out in Vegas where some of the buses them come from. We have information about down in Miami. We have information about the whole thing. And I said to her, I'm willing
For
to.
your request, we'll provide all the information as well too.
Sure, I'm not looking anonymity, so you know, for me not hide. Me I tell you, say me I will give it to you. So anyway, Miss P, go ahead. Welcome.
Good night, everybody. OT.
Good night, my love.
Everybody, good night. In the history of Mrs. Holness, please remember that she's suffering from, I don't know this syndrome, but I want Miss Daisy to let me put this syndrome name to it. Just imagine you sit at the head of the hall and you're looking at some ladies and all of you are mates. And you look the worst out of all of them. The rest of them dress and look appropriate and look nice, and you always look like when tablecloth or dish away. So she have a problem. Okay? She has a problem because most of the women them in the parliament know the size of her husband manhood, knows his activity, and how that problem.
Most of the people on the government are the opposition side. Please be clear.
Right? And no, is that on the opposition side.
Okay, good.
On the opposition side, when look good, look act, intelligent, everything, a full package, she hates them. Right? Because the new chick, which is Miss Burchell, will just come as a new candidate, and she's doing her job the way she do it properly, and so she grudge the woman them. So that's the problem what she have. And she behave like a bully, so she have a lot of problem on her head. She have a way of building them and make out in Jamaica. So in some days, some years to come, she have to go get account for them. That's a one problem. Your husband have a problem, him have a problem. So you have a problem all about. That to show you, so the higher the monkey climb and the more he exposed. So she am going to borrow time. Because me can tell if me dead gone, hands to come tell them me grave. They might come down one of the worst and wickedest, disgraceful. They might come down. She has nothing about her. And it's not we tell her husband. She must be more gentle to her husband. That's why I have to go her road and go then right. So that is it. Juliet Holness have nothing about him, not come from nowhere. Tablecloth on this towel like elevation that. You understand? And if you notice, Mr. Rattigan and Miss Daisy, Mr. Vaz never in a parliament yesterday. The next thing about security, when I look on, every time when Mark Bolin I go talk certain point, all of them they come out of the parliament. And when I time when you look over there actually empty. And Jones come late, all the time he missed again. So them disrespectful and can't take the heat. And the speaker of the house just a fear all over her head. Because it's the truth. But with God in our vessel, we are going to see where they might come out. Tomorrow, we know not even listen to him. Because I listen to one clip like a while where he might tell, most of our reporter say, the JLP is the best thing ever happened to Jamaica, and then go through COVID, and then go through Melissa, and they are not perfect. We don't know if that thing might come with tomorrow, people can't carry them pillow and them blanket. I said, them a go. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So, later.
All right, Miss P. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Miss P, good night.
Them people,
No, you know, and history will not be kind to. You see how when people talk about former Prime Minister, let's go back to the 70s, former Prime Minister Michael Manley, they speak about him with, you know, with excitement. And they speak about policies that he has put in place and agencies and institutions that are still in effect to the benefit of the people. They speak about Siaga. They can speak about agency and institution that he is also put in, because heart did come from Edward Seaga. They can talk about him, but they also speak about him in a negative way about how he has contributed to the demise of the country, the economic demise, the social breakdown in the society. And when history is writing Andrew's legacy right now, he talks about, what his legacy is going to be. It is written right. It is being written right now. And it will not be kind to him. When the late Val Nelson, who was the first female speaker of the House when she passed, people spoke glowingly of her and how she was respectful of others and how she conducted herself in the Parliament. People will not speak that way about Juliet Holness.
Hold on, that's this. Call a good night. Hello.
Yes. Good night, Miss Daisy. How are you?
Good night, my love. I'm good, thanks.
Okay, glad to see you.
Yes, you as well. Got to hear you.
Yeah, all right, Miss Philly.
Who is that, Miss Winnie?
Yeah, Miss Philly, you're good?
Miss Winnie, yes.
Well, talk to me otherwise.
Okay. All right, talk to us. What's going on?
When we come on to Juliet Holness, you can say, well, she has achieved, she has arrived. Black woman.
Miss Philly.
Yes, you. What?
Miss Philly. Miss Philly. Miss Philly, there's something wrong with it. There's something wrong with the transmission. Are you moving around?
No, I'm sitting down.
Okay, you sound much better now.
Yeah, so much better now.
Steady then. Perhaps is that. All right. So as I was saying about Juliet Holness, as a Black woman, she has arrived. I believe she's the first speaker of the House.
No, she's not the first female. No, not the first female. No.
Okay, right.
One criminal before Marissa Dalrymple Philbert.
We had a more honorable one before them, Violet Nielsen.
Yeah, but this lady here, Dalrymple, she pled guilty. She's a criminal convicted.
Yes.
Go ahead, Miss Philly.
Yes. No, we have to take bad things to make laugh, All right, let me get serious. So, men plays a vital role in leadership. If this world, the entire world, many know, but if in some areas of life and organization and women are leading, I think it would have been, it might have had a society. You see, because women, we have empathy. That way of bringing things together, like a peacemaker. I love leadership. And when I say that, I'm thinking of Precious Miller and other women leaders, Kamala, and so on. So, we know how to come together in a collaborative, and we have certain kind of skills down in situations to calm it down and a smoother kind of situation, leadership and all. But with Juliet, she's just that rough edge person. She needs to stop, look, and listen and take the criticism, not in a bad way, but as to say, to refine her. She has this attitude like, bully
like to bully people, talk down to people. And I don't know if she has not listened to her tone. It's not good. It don't sound good. It is too abrupt. She needs to listen to herself and try to do some, sorting out of herself. Take criticism, take it as a good gesture. It can't go on like that, because if you're shedding a bad light on women to say that is why some men might say that they don't want women in leadership because that's how they're made. And that's not so at all. So, I mean, she must take a look at herself. She's in leadership. And what I notice about her, she's too biased too. What goes for the goose goes for the gander. All those instructions she's giving to Bunting, she is to apply them to herself. And if she do that, she would be a better leader, a woman leader, female, making us feel proud. You understand? But behaving like that, it doesn't help her husband either. Because you see, like, well, she's wearing the pants and he's wearing the dress or the skirt. So she needs to rub down those rough edges that she has. Look deep within. Turn the mirror on herself. She cannot carry on like that. She can't. It doesn't look good for the female gender at all. So that is my take on it.
All right, Miss Phillip, take care of yourself. Get well soon, because it sounds like you're a bit under the weather.
Oh boy, I tell you.
Yeah.
Okay, Miss Winnie, have a good night.
All right, take care.
Miss Winnie said, look like.
Nice to see you.
Okay.
Yes, my darling. Look like Juliet wear the pants and Andrew wear the dress. Angela wear dress. Andrew wear full length slip.
Dorothy, Ilian trying to say, take a wise man talk as an idiot. You think Juliet or Andrew Donkey, you make a big mistake. Andrew Donkey in a country.
Prosperity.
I think I know which country.
Yes, we get prosperity. Their country for true.
I think I know what she talk about. She said Juliet's job is to keep all freezer door closed in Parliament. Direct your body now. Your body.
But you know something?
What
Miss Winnie touched on a good point, and it is not to take away from Juliet's accomplishments. And it's the same thing goes for Minister Favour and all the female members of Parliament, because, there was a time when women had to, their role, their place was in the home, barefoot and pregnant. And for women to have come this far, it's something to be celebrated. But when you're in these kinds of positions of power, it ought not to be abused.
Right.
And she has the opportunity to set a better example for the young women who are looking on how to conduct themselves when they are put in positions of power. You don't abuse it. You don't disrespect people. And that is what she is doing. And that is what has caused people to be so aggressive in their tone towards her, because that's what she gives. So it is being reflected back on her. It's being reflected on her. So,
Crazy. Look, we're going to shut it down now. So, listen.
Yeah.
We want to thank our guest. He'll be back on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because the man is a wealth of knowledge. And all of you who can't trace your gingeration, you don't need to talk to this man here, because him know a whole heap about a whole heap. So, tune in. And plus, him have a book as well. So, tune in for that. And he has given the task of marketing, producing, selling, all kinds of things to Sister Maria. So,
my brother.
My brother, yeah, you found a long lost brother tonight. So we all did, because like him said, we connect there. So
Yeah.
So sis, you want to say some final words before we lock up shop, yeah?
I hope the Prime Minister does not come and do a budget presentation where he's being bombastic, tracing, rehashing stuff, behaving like things that was a problem and not a solution, and present a budget that outlines how the government is going to help Jamaicans better themselves, better their lives. What are they going to put in place to grow the economy, to help to increase wages, to create a better working environment, and also to address the healthcare problem, the education problem, and the infrastructure, the road infrastructure problem. Come with concrete plans to address those issues, and don't come lifting up his full length to trace anybody, because guess what? He's there for 10 years. It's not anybody's fault right now. It's all on him. It's all on his shoulders, because he has had 10 years to correct anything he thought somebody else did wrong, correct? So if he hasn't done it in the 10 years and he's still talking about other people, something that happened 30 years, 40 years ago, then clearly he's in the wrong position. So I really hope that he comes with a fulsome budget that addresses the needs of the people and not his grievances. Don't come with that grievance budget and beat up in chest. And because you know what happened? They have too many old persons, and it's not an ageism thing. They have too many persons, especially on the government side in the parliament, who should have retired. Desmond McKenzie is one of them, because he is incompetent. And that's why I agreed with Dr. Dawes when he asked him, what you doing here? Because the truth of the matter is, Desmond McKenzie, Delroy Chuck, the dancing minister, what's her name? Babsy Grange, Horace Chang, they should all retire. What's his name? Minister of Tourism. They should give the space to somebody else, because their ideas are not working. They need fresh ideas, new, more younger, vibrant persons. They exist, but they are there keeping these persons out. So the Prime Minister needs to come do a budget presentation that speaks to the people's needs, not addresses his grievances.
All right. Well, you just mentioned Desmond McKenzie. Let me just play a quick thing on Desmond. Listen, look at this, folks. For those of you who haven't seen this, listen to this.
You still here at your age. You go home and play with the grandparents, man.
Agreed.
Remember, go play with the grandchildren, I agree.
Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. He's incompetent. The man is woefully incompetent in all his years in politics. What has he done that is tangible? What institutions that man, agencies that man has created, that has benefited, that is benefiting the people of his constituency, Tivoli Gardens? The man is incompetent. He's the Minister of Labor. No, the Minister of Local Government. And the places are stinkers of the garbage not being collected. Give me a break. He needs to go home.
Let me just say that in terms of the Prime Minister's speech tomorrow, just keep this in mind. As I've said, and it is true, and I will continue to say, Jamaica is content rich. And a big part of that is the Prime Minister. So we'll take notes tomorrow.
Yes.
I want to thank you for joining me and our guest. And I'm encouraging you to tune in on Saturday, because we're going to get some material from the speech tomorrow for sure. And we have some outstanding things that we have to present to you. So again, thank you for joining. Thanks for joining.
Don't drink rum, but I might have to get a glass of rum, straight, no chaser, to listen to the Prime Minister's speech.
Get some boom with it.
Exactly.
OT, lead us out, OT.
Okay, God bless Rattigan. We'll talk soon. And to everyone in the chat, a blessed night.
Let's go.
every day. Risk him life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights, I saw him stay. Well, fight for the people every day. Risk him life for the people every day. Get criticized for the people every day. Defending your rights.
On October 28th, Melissa, a Category 5 hurricane, turned her wrath upon our homeland, Jamaica. In the aftermath, thousands of homes were destroyed, lives, pets, and livestock were lost, and dreams and hopes dashed. Resilient as we Jamaicans are known to be, our brothers and sisters on the island need our help now. To this end, the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, OJLDF, has launched its official fundraiser. Please donate generously at OJLDF.net. We are depending on each and every one of you to get the most needed supplies to our people at home. Go to OJLDF.net. That's OJLDF.net and hit the donate button today. Thank you.